10 minutes after 8 o'clock, we have a new tornado warning in effect. This is going to be for the southern part of Greene County. This is an extension of the warning that's in effect for parts of northern Marengo. So this includes North Marengo, extreme southern Greene, southern Hale. Let's go right to the radar, and here's the bottom line, just right off the bat. If you live in Demopolis, you need to be sheltered now. If you live in Demopolis and you're not in our television market, you're in the Montgomery market, but a lot of people can see us, and we're on Facebook Live and all the streaming now. If you are in the city of Demopolis, you need to be sheltered now. Let's stop this from animating here, and let's kind of zoom into Demopolis. And again, let me just show you what we've got here. Let's go closer, and again, let me get your bearings straight. This is U.S. Highway 43 right here. This is the bridge over the Warrior. That's the confluence of the Tom Bigby and the Warrior right here. Downtown Demopolis is here. This is Highway 43 going down toward Providence and Linden. That's US 80 going out toward Demopolis High School and the Rooster Bridge. We have strong evidence of what could be a tornado coming into Demopolis, and this is going to be moving up into the southern tip of Greene and southern Hale counties. So let's go to our graphic system with the watches warnings. I'm going to show you who's in and who's out. Okay, so let's zoom into this warning here, and let me just give you some of the communities that are in the warning. And let's go in a bit tighter. In Hale County, Greensboro is here. This is Newbern. Greensboro and Newbern, you are in. Gallion, you are in. Forkland and Greene County, you are in. This does not include Utah or Moundville. This does include Greensboro, Newbern. It includes Wedgeworth. It does not include Akron, does not include Moundville, but it does include in Greene County, Forkland, the Alabama Power Company plant, all the way down to Demopolis. Now, we have in Demopolis Brian Peters. Let's go right to Brian. And Brian, you're right in the path of this thing. Tell us exactly where you are, what you've got right now.
Well, I'm a little to the south of the center of Demopolis, just to the south of US 80. And the shot that you're seeing from the storm chaser is looking into this storm. It's very, very intense lightning. It looks like the center of the storm, the core, where the hail is probably falling, and the radar indicates the potential for 2 to 3 inch hail is going to pass just to the north of where I'm located. And the circulation has broadened out a little bit, but still good indications that there may be a tornado with this.
Yeah, and let me just say this too, Brian. This is a very long track thunderstorm. This thing has been it's been severe, I know, since way back in Mississippi. In fact, it's been on the ground, I do believe, the tornado, at least at times, for probably over 100 miles. I'm not saying it's a continuous track, but it's been a long-lasting, long-track supercell thunderstorm, and it's had a history of producing damage in parts of Choctaw County back into Mississippi. So it's a very dangerous thunderstorm. So again, Brian, give me your exact location. Tell us where you are, and again, you're north. How far south of Demopolis are you?
I'm probably just a mile or two from the center of Demopolis. Of course, I came in on US 43, Fairhaven Baptist Church. I'm actually in the parking lot of a funeral home that's right in front of the Fairhaven Baptist Church, trying to get a few less city lights so that you might be able to get some of the lightning that's occurring here. And again, the core looks like it's going to pass just to the north of me, and I'm looking on my shot to the southwest. So south-southwest, you might say, really.
All right, so you're at Fairhaven Baptist Church. Fairhaven is on US 80, a little west of the city of Demopolis. And again, Brian, that thing's going to be pretty close to you. And one of the problems we're fighting here in the weather office as you look at this, let me just say, Brian, you know the problem we have here. The radar coverage is not good in that part of the state. The radar beam from Birmingham, in fact, I'll give you an exact figure here. The radar beam from Birmingham is 7,500 feet. Above ground level. It's not down there at the surface where you've got the rotation. You can look at this from Columbus, Mississippi, from Mobile, from Jackson, Mississippi. They've all got problems. They're all, in many cases, over 10,000 feet. So, again, I just wanted to let you know that that's an issue here. But, again, for those watching here, and by the way, if you can be sure that we're streaming this live on Facebook. I'm looking over on the social media channel. I'm not seeing that. So if you can get the guys over there to be sure that we're on Facebook, we're going to be here for a while. So, again, possibility of a tornado right here. And, Brian, what's the environment like? I would imagine it's got to be warm and muggy. You're in pretty unstable air down there.
It very much is, James. The temperature off the vehicle's thermometer is 70 degrees, and it was actually coming down here from Utah. It was actually around 68, 67, kind of bouncing back and forth. But when I got to Demopolis, it has actually warmed up. And interestingly enough, right now, James, I just opened the door. It is close to calm right now, right here. There seems to be almost no wind blowing. I know there must be some wind blowing, but there doesn't seem to be any wind blowing down at the ground level.
Well, so again, if you're just joining us, we are here because we have a tornado warning in effect for not only North Marengo County, where Bryan is located, but also for parts of Hale County and southern Greene. Let's keep those double boxes going. We want to keep these on the air just in case. And Bryan, let's go back to the dilemma. How many times over the years have we dealt with this nighttime tornadoes and severe thunderstorms? So you've trained all the spotters, and you're dealing with what you've been teaching. You have to wait for lightning to illuminate something that you might see, and this is not easy.
It is not. Lightning can be helpful, but it also, when it flashes almost continuously, the strobe effect makes it very difficult to be able to identify anything. But right now, the one good thing is I'm not seeing any low clouds that are streaming to the north, indicating that, I'm on the edge of that rotation. So hopefully we're okay right here. And I just noticed that the trees have begun to pick up a little bit of motion from the stillness that I just had a few minutes ago.
All right. And again, for those just joining us, Bryan is out on Highway 80, not too far from Demopolis High School and the athletic complex out there at Fairhaven Baptist Church. Everybody in Demopolis knows where that is. And again, he's in a pretty good position. More than likely, Bryan, it looks like this might pass a smidgen north of you, you think?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking, James.
It looks that way based on radar. And we're getting a pretty good velocity signature now, and it looks like it's going to be north of you.
Yeah, I wish I could put my location on your map. But I am just to the south of that core that is occurring, and the wind has begun to pick up a little bit. And one of the good things I'm seeing is that we're getting a west to east flow here right now. So if there is a tornado with this storm, it's got to be just to my north.
Okay.
I noticed the radar was indicating the potential for 3-inch hail. I haven't seen any hail yet, but then again, the right core with what appears to be that sort of pink color, which is like 70 dBZs, that thing is just to the north of me.
Yeah, indeed. Again,
Bryan,
right I don't know if you're turning the light on inside the cab of the Jeep, but when you do that, we can't see the...
sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, if you can just... There we go. That eliminates our ability to see out the window.
Sorry about that.
I understand. It's pitch black, and I've been in that vehicle many times. Again, Bryan's in our storm chaser. And I don't know if we can take WEX 05 really quickly, JD. I just wanted to show his location. I can show Bryan's location on a map. Again, this is a map depicting Demopolis, and again, you can see that he is right there, right off US 80 at Fairhaven Baptist Church. I'll kind of pull this out a little bit, and again, you can see his location in relation to downtown Demopolis. He's probably about 2 miles south of downtown Demopolis, where the city hall is located in the square. So let's go back to the double box configuration here. And Taylor's indicating that we might have a debris signature. And again, we've had Bryan, debris has been lofted on this thing to 18,000 feet. And it's still there. It is still there. And I have reason to believe that there's a tornado there. And again, it might be out near or just north of the river, the Tom Bigby, out there near the lock and dam. And again, the problem we have, but boy, I'm getting an extreme velocity signature on this thing. It could be near the lock and dam, and on that track, it might take it a smidgen north of downtown Demopolis, up toward the old yacht basin. It's going to cross US 43. But let me just say this, nobody, and I mean nobody, should be driving on US 43 from downtown Demopolis north to Forkland. You just stop. If you got a way of hearing me, if you're listening to an app on your phone, if you're on Facebook, whatever, if you're hearing my voice, you got to get off. A car's a death trap during a tornado. You can't be in one. You've got to get out of there. So again, nobody should be on US 43 here between downtown Demopolis and Forkland in Greene County. And Bryan, any sign of any wall cloud that you can see from your vantage point there?
Not that I can see, James. Again, the lightning is your friend and also your enemy, the way it strobes. makes it very hard to see what motion is actually occurring up there. But we're definitely getting a south to southwest flow here at my location, which would indicate that any rotation may have gone by already.
Yeah, so what I think you might want to do, Brian, is get on US 80 and then turn north up on US 43 coming through the middle of Demopolis. And we might get you up near the Civic Center, the police station up on the northern side of town, and you stop there. And that will put you in a little better position to see this, and that will be a safe place. You're on the south side of this. We want to keep Brian on the south side of this. He's coming in the back way, and this is what we teach the spotters to do. And again, this is really hard, and we encourage everybody, don't you dare do this unless you've been trained as a spotter, preferably trained for multiple times. Yes, sir.
James,
yes.
I have pulled out to US 80 on whatever this little street is by the Fairview Baptist Church. But there's definitely a lowering to my north. I can see it with the lightning. It's bright to the slightly west of me, and it's bright to the slightly east of me. But in between, it's very black and very dark right in front of me. And the problem is, of course, I have some trees and a couple of structures in the way, so I can't really see all the way to the ground. But it definitely looks ominous.
Yeah, you know what I'd do, Brian? I would, again, get up on 43, go through downtown Demopolis, and I would even say at this point, and let me just say that we still want people in Demopolis sheltered, even though we really believe this is passing north of downtown Demopolis. You might want to get up toward the bridge. I think it's safe now, Brian, to get up on the King Bridge over the Warrior River. And again, there's not really a safe place to stop on the bridge, but as you go over the bridge, that might give you a decent look into this thing. And it's going to be crossing US 43 right now, just north of Demopolis, probably a smidgen north of the river bridge in the far southern tip of Greene County. That's the reason Greene County is under a tornado warning here. So again, we're going to keep that shot up. And again, this thing...
There's also good news that the power is still on where I am here. I'm getting pretty close to the intersection where 43 and 80 come together.
Okay. And let me just...
I'm seeing power on in all directions from my location.
Right. So I think the city of Demopolis itself is going to be south of this. It's going to move just north of the city of Demopolis. Most likely, it sure looked like it was close to the lock and dam on the river. And then it scooted out just north of town. So it'll be interesting to see the shot that you see crossing the river in Demopolis here, and you'll be over that bridge in probably about 3 or 4 minutes. We're going to leave the double boxes up, and let me just say, this is the only tornado warning we have in the whole state right now. So we're focusing exclusively on this one. Often we have to bounce between different storms. We don't have to do that right now because we just have one. But let me just say this, if this thing stays down, if it stays down and if it keeps this trajectory and if it maintains that intensity, this could very well scoot through parts of central Alabama, winding up in counties like Chilton or Shelby or Bibb here in a little bit. So this could affect a lot of folks over the course of the next hour or so. And again, we remind you, this has been a long track supercell storm with origins back in Mississippi. But again, Greene County, this is Hale County. And if that continues, this is Bibb and this is Perry right here that will keep coming up through Bibb and ultimately coming into Shelby County. So that's the way it is now. Now understand, this could weaken. The dynamics tonight will slowly be lifting away. When that happens, it's hard to say, but at some point these will weaken. When that happens, we don't know, but this has shown no evidence of weakening. So we'll pop the radar back on this graphic. And again, if you're just joining us, we're here because we have a tornado warning in effect. This does include the city of Greensboro and basically a pretty good chunk of Hale County, excluding Akron and Moundville. These two communities up in the northern part of Hale County are not involved in this, and we stress Utah and Greene County. You are not in this warning. It's raining and you've got thunder and lightning. The weather is not good, but in terms of a tornado threat, it's this storm right here cutting across extreme southern Greene. This is Forkland on U.S. Highway 43. It'll be crossing out around Arcola Road back out toward the city of Greensboro. If you're in the city of Greensboro, you should be sheltered. An analog to this, and I'm not saying we have a tornado like this with this storm, but in terms of the track, an analog would be May 27th, 1973. Old-timers might remember that. That was a long-lasting supercell storm that came just north of Demopolis like this and hit Greensboro and hit the town of Brent in Bibb County on a Sunday night back in 1973, and then moved through Shelby County and finally lifted over on the slope of Mount Cheaha. And Brian, you've heard all about that tornado, I know, over the years.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Unfortunately, I'm still not being able to see much, James.
Yeah, I think, Brian, when you get on top of the Warrior Bridge on US 43, the River Bridge, that will give you that magical shot. That's the highest point in that flatland. And this is prairie land in the Black Belt region of West Alabama, so you don't have a lot of hills up there, but that bridge over the Warrior just north of Demopolis is pretty elevated, so once Brian gets up there, we can give Demopolis an all clear, I'd say, in about 5 minutes. I'm not ready to do that, but again, the Weather Service in Birmingham is calling this a confirmed, and this is their verbiage, not mine, but I would agree with this. They're calling this a confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado near Demopolis, moving northeast at 40. Okay, so, and again, based on its history, you just have to respect this particular thunderstorm. So we will be staying here with you until these warnings expire. And hopefully that will be soon, but it might not be soon. So, and the other thing, too, remember, as this continues moving to the northeast, this particular thunderstorm will be closer and closer to the radar. The radar we're using right now is at the Shelby County Airport. And again, that will give us a lower and lower and lower angle into this thing and a better view of what's happening in the lower levels of the storm. And again, the beam at this point still about 7,000 feet off the ground. Again, let me take Brian's full screen for just a second. Looks like, Brian, you are on US 43. You've come through downtown.
Yeah.
And you're going to be on that bridge here in just a minute. You're going to be passing the Civic Center is over there on the left. The old yacht basin is on the left. And have you noticed any lowering evidence of a wall cloud or a tornado so far?
So far, no. And I'm kind of hopeful here because it seems that all the power lights are on. As far as I can see, there's a lot of scud, but so far no evidence of a funnel or tornado, and the power still on even along the river here.
Okay. Yeah, we're watching it, and with this expanded view, we can see this. And again, we want everybody in Demopolis to stay sheltered for just a few more minutes. We'll be able to give you an all clear shortly. The rotation is now north of Demopolis. It looks like it's just crossed over US 43. And again, Brian is going to be up on that bridge here very shortly. And
there's a lot of small debris in the road. I don't think you can see the road that well, but there's a lot of very small debris, like, you know, leaves and the ends of twigs. Nothing in the way of any serious downed trees or anything like that, but certainly the evidence that there's been some 35, 40-mile-an-hour winds through here because of the fine debris that's on the highway.
Yeah, and that's going to be that inflow coming into the storm, which passed a little north of there. But again, give me about 2 more minutes. I'll give Demopolis an all clear. The circulation is clearly northeast of Demopolis now, moving up in the direction of Greensboro. But again, understand, if you are in Greensboro in Hale County, you need to be sheltered now. And when we say being sheltered, that means no mobile homes. That is not a shelter during a tornado. If you live in a trailer, a mobile home, you've got to get out and go to a more significant structure. And hopefully you thought about that this morning and have a plan. If you are in Hale County, in Greensboro or New Bern, you need to enact that plan right now. And in a site-built home, we want people, goodness, I'm watching the scud, Brian, as the lightning illuminates that. But in a site-built home, we want you to be in a small room, like a hall closet bathroom, lowest floor, near the center, and no windows. You don't have to be underground. You don't. We just want you in a small room on the lowest floor. If your house is one level, then you're fine right there. So this is hard stuff, Brian. But again, those flashes are giving us pretty good signs of the scud that is north of that. It looks like you're coming up on the bridge now.
Yes, I'm actually on the bridge right now and not seeing anything other than just the scud. And again, you can see to my right, you can see that the power is on. Those down by the water, the power is on, so indications that maybe we've dodged a bullet here.
Okay, well, good deal. It would be very interesting. You know what? I want you to keep going, Brian, for maybe about 2 or 3 miles, and let's see if you can find a damage path across US 43.
Okay.
And again, we'll see how that goes. Now, the problem you have, Brian, is when you get up 43, there's no way to go east because of the Warrior River. So you're probably going to have to turn around, go back down through Demopolis, and then cut over up Highway 69 to go to Greensboro. The other option, of course, is to go to Utah, come back down Highway 14. I'll leave that up to you. But obviously the next mission for you is to get over toward Greensboro. But again, Brian, let's go to the double box now, and that Brian has been up on the bridge, the William Rufus King Bridge. And again,
off the bridge now.
Yes, so this is the circulation couplet right here. This is the velocity couplet, very strong indication of a tornado that is now east of US 43, and we can give Demopolis an all clear. If you live in the city of Demopolis, you can get out of your safe place and go about your business now, because this tornado is now north and east of the city of Demopolis, moving away from you. Now, you're going to have rain and thunder, and the risk of severe weather isn't necessarily over for you, but this tornadic circulation, or possible, we believe it is a tornado here because we've seen debris that's been lofted. Again, at one point, debris was lofted to 18,000 feet using the correlation coefficient product. But again, this tornadic circulation is now in this phase where it's crossing the river, and it's very close to the Greene County generating plant that's owned by Alabama Power Company. That's a large facility that's on the Warrior River, and that tornadic circulation is very close to the Greene County generating plant right now. And it will be crossing the river. Once it crosses the Warrior, it's going to cross over into Hale County. And Brian, what do you got there? It looks like you stopped for a second.
I'm turning around to go back to Demopolis.
Okay, I got you. Good deal. So what Brian's going to do, he's going to go back and then come up Highway 69 on the back edge of this. And again, no matter who you are, we don't care who you are. You can be the world's greatest weatherman, but you can't be in an unsafe place during a tornado. This is dangerous stuff we're talking about, and nobody, and I mean nobody, should be out at night doing what Brian is doing. Brian has trained over 10,000 storm spotters, and he'll be the first to tell you this ain't easy. But Brian's going to go back through Demopolis and up that way.
And I can tell you that people are heeding your words. I haven't seen a car. Oops, here comes one.
There you go. We gave him an all clear, so it's okay now. We've given an all clear to the city of Demopolis, but again, the concern now is shifting up to Greensboro and those folks in Hale County. We're getting a report now of one home damaged west of Demopolis with 3 injuries. And that report is from the Marengo County EMA director. So again, there's no doubt there's a tornado that's come through here. Finding a path in the dark, we're not going to put Brian on a wild goose chase for a long time. We're trying to get Brian in a position so we can see a wall cloud or a tornado, because we know if you see that, then you do something. But again, one home damaged west of Demopolis with 3 injuries, and that's from the Marengo County EMA director. And that is...
I tell you, there's still some strong winds, James. I'm coming up here on the bridge, and the wind is pretty good.
Yeah, it's and again, you're in a situation, Brian, in that departing storm. You're still probably getting some inflow into the backside of that. And again, if for those of you watching on the television side, you can see the double boxes. That's Brian Peters in our storm chaser. He is in Demopolis in Marengo County. He came north across the river a few miles up US 43, did not find any tornado damage. He's going to go back into Demopolis, then curve back up Highway 69 to go up toward Greensboro. In fact, what he's going to do is come back down here, and go up this way. You want to stay on the south side of this as the storm moves northeast. The best chance of seeing a wall cloud or a tornado is going to be on that southwestern flank of the storm. But remember,
I think I'm getting 45-mile-an-hour wind right now.
Wow. Okay.
There's debris going across the highway.
Goodness. All right.
Small debris.
So again, and understand, the weather's still not good in Demopolis. When I say all clear, that doesn't mean the sky clears. You've got rain and thunder and lightning, and it's windy. But in terms of the tornado, The tornado has now crossed over the Warrior. This is the Warrior River right here. And next in line will be the town of Greensboro. Greensboro is the county seat of Hale County. And again, the call to action here, if you're anywhere from Demopolis to Greensboro, you need to be in a safe place. Coming down from Greensboro, you've got those three fingers, highways 69, 61, and 25. Anybody along those three highways all the way back up into Greensboro, you need to be in a safe place. And if you're watching us in Brent or Centerville or Pondville, watch this thing carefully. And again, please understand, I am not saying this is an EF4 tornado like what we had in 1973. I'm saying there's a pretty good chance we have a tornado here, and this thing has been producing damage for a long time, and the track is very similar to that night. And that night, the track was north of Demopolis, Greensboro, Brent. It took out the old National Weather Service WSR 57 radar site just southwest of Centerville at Pondville on that horrible Sunday night. Then it came through southern Shelby County, and again, it lifted on the eastern, or the slope of Mount Cheaha on the eastern side of the state. One of the analogs that came up in terms of the conditions that we're having tonight was April 18th of 1969. During that event, we had a long track tornado. But again, there's your couplet right there, very easy to identify. It is clearly out of Greene, out of Marengo. It's now in Hale County, coming right up on Demopolis. And again, this thing is going to be on Greensboro pretty soon here. So Demopolis, from this tornado threat, you're all clear. Now it's raining, it's windy, there's thunder and lightning. But in terms of the next sizable town in the path of this thing, it's going to be Greensboro, which is right here. So again, everybody in Greensboro and Hale County, you need to be in a good, safe place. And again, that's 69, 25, 61, right there. And that's Highway 25 that goes up towards Centerville and Brent. And based on the history that we're seeing, if you do an analogy back to May 27, 1973, we clearly don't want anybody driving up Highway 25 from Greensboro to Brent over the next hour or so. Just trust me, that's a very good call. And I know it's inconvenient where people have to be at work or they have to go somewhere, but there are some things in life just not worth the risk. And tonight, that's one of those nights where you don't want to be driving in the dark when there could be a significant tornado in through here. The tornado warning continues for Hale County. The warning has been canceled for Greene and Marengo. The warning is in effect for Hale until 9:15. It's 8:37 right now. A tornado 8 miles southwest of Greensboro, moving northeast at 50. The forward motion here is 50 miles per hour. And again, you can clearly see next in line is going to be Bibb County. After Bibb County, next in line it's going to be Shelby County. So everybody that's in Bibb and Shelby, you need to kind of stay tuned and watch and see what's going on here. And if we call out, if your town, if you're in one of these polygons, what do? You respect the polygon. And you go to a safe place. You're not in a car. You're not in a mobile home. When you go in your safe place, you're going to do three things for us. You're going to put on a helmet, and that's everybody. That's not just for kids. We want everybody, even if you're as old as dirt like me. Every human life is precious, and a lot of people that are seriously injured in tornado events are injured because of blunt force trauma wounds to the skull region. A simple bicycle helmet, a batting helmet if you have kids that play sports, a motorcycle helmet. And again, that's for everybody. And in that safe place, we want you to have portable air horns in case you need help. First responders can hear that from a great distance. And hard-soled shoes if you have to walk for help. You don't want to walk over a tornado debris field at night. It's the worst possible thing you could do. That would tear your feet up. So those are just some things to think about, and preferably you have those in your safe place now, because we talk about that all the time.
Hey,
so,
James,
yes.
The emergency managers are reporting an 18-wheeler overturned at 57 and US 80 just west of Demopolis. Okay,
thanks, Taylor. Again, this is overturned by wind. This is County Road 57 and U.S. Highway 80 west of Demopolis out toward the Rooster Bridge. The Rooster Bridge crosses the Tom Bigby out near the old Gulf States paper site out there. But again, that's coming from Marengo County EMA. So we've had reports of one home damaged with 3 injuries and an 18-wheeler overturned by strong winds. Located west of Demopolis as that tornado came through. The city of Demopolis turned out okay with this. It passed north of the city of Demopolis, and again, it's coming up on Greensboro, which is right here. Brian, tell us where you are now, what it looks like it's pouring rain there.
I'm back at US 80 and 43, and I saw some blue lights. I was going to turn that way, but I think it's just an officer trying to be careful. We're probably getting between 40 and 50-mile-an-hour winds right here, James, on the leading edge that is trailing back from Demopolis back to the west. The wind has been really ferocious here. Not a lot of trees to get any small debris from, but It's more like hurricane looking stuff as the curtains come across the highway.
Yeah, okay. Again, Brian, we're looking at the reports from our team of sky watchers from all of the different sources we have. And again, we want everybody paying close attention tonight. Now, what I want to do, let's quickly show the big picture here, Taylor, because a lot of people are asking questions, and those questions are valid. First off, the tornado watch is canceled for the Tennessee Valley. They've had a rough night. And let me just say, 2 people have been killed tonight in northern Lawrence County. And it's not a good situation. We don't have firm details on that, but in northern Lawrence County, up around Town Creek and Cortland, we've had very significant damage. At least 2 people have been killed. We understand there's at least 1 person missing, and the search and rescue operation is underway. And that happened earlier this evening. Now, let's put the radar on here, and you're just going to see a big mass of rain through parts of North Alabama. This is helping to stabilize the atmosphere, just a big old cold pool. So we have rain falling in counties like Lamar, Fayette, Walker, Cullman, Winston, and Blount. The odds of additional severe weather are low that far north. They're not 0, but they're low. I'd say the greater chance of any tornado activity is basically with this 1 supercell storm, and that's basically the only tornado warning on the board right now. And you can see that 1 supercell storm is going to be coming up in the direction of Bibb and Shelby counties and ultimately St. Clair. Now, the air on the eastern side of the state is a little more stable. The dynamics are not as impressive. So at some point, this thing ought to weaken. But, man, it has been hanging in there like a rusty fishhook all afternoon into the night. This thing originated way back in Mississippi, and that is a very dangerous storm. So, again, north of Interstate 20, I can't say there's no chance of severe weather tonight, but the odds are low because you're rain-cooled and you're stable, and there's just a big cold pool up and through here. But, again, this situation down here is what we have to watch, especially Bibb and Shelby and St. Clair. We'll see how long it lasts. We'll be right here to walk you through it. So let's zoom back into this. And again, this is your warning in effect for Hale County, and you can see that circulation should be awfully close to Greensboro right now. I mean, really close to Greensboro. In fact, there you go. Boy, this is dangerous. That is an extremely dangerous storm. If you're in Greensboro, you've got to be sheltered now. You should have been sheltered 30 minutes ago. If you're in Greensboro, if you know anybody in Greensboro, call them on the phone now. Text them now and tell them to get into a safe place. They go into a bathroom, a closet, a hall, in a site-built home. If you got a helmet, put it on. If not, just try and cover your head. People in mobile homes can't be in a mobile home. You should have left when the warning was issued 30 minutes ago or so. But again, that is an extremely dangerous tornadic signature that's coming right up into Greensboro. It might pass a little west and north of downtown, but man, it's going to be close. I mean, everybody in the city limits or anywhere within 5 miles of Greensboro, you've got to be in a safe place. And again, what's going to happen, this thing is going to be trucking right down Highway 25, Alabama Highway 25. That's the road from Greensboro to Brent. And again, the analogy is very strong to May 27th, 1973, that horrible Sunday night so long ago where we had an event like this and a horrible EF4 tornado. And I'm not saying that's an EF4 tornado. It might be a smaller one. We just don't know that. You can't tell by looking at radar. But as the beam gets lower and lower in the storm, which is the case because it is getting closer to the radar, you can see very strong evidence of trouble here. Let's look at an attribute table, if we can, Taylor, some of the parameters on this particular thunderstorm. And again, this is only about 3 or 4 miles southwest of Greensboro right now. So we'll pop on some of the storm attributes if we can, and if we can't, that's okay. There's the full screen here. And if not, don't worry about it. Let's go back to the double box. I want to keep both boxes going because Brian soon is going to be coming up into this storm on the south side. Okay, his shot. There we go. Thank you, JD. Brian is going to be going through an area where there's going to be, cell service is going to come and go. And Brian, obviously, to deliver that video back has to rely on the cellular service. But that shot will be back. So we'll go full screen with this. And if we get Brian's shot back, we'll take that. What Brian's going to do, he's going to come in from Highway 69 from the south, and again, the object of the game, you want to be back here if you're a storm spotter because this is moving away from you. That's where we want the spotters to be. They want to be safe. You never want to be here. You want to be down here because that's moving away from you. But again, no doubt, if you're in Greensboro, you've got to be in a safe place. This is a very serious, dangerous storm that has produced damage across a large area. This has been consistently severe and producing a tornado at times for at least 120, 130 miles way back into parts of central Mississippi, and it shows no sign of letting up as the air down here is still very unstable and right with temperatures in the 70s and dew points up in the 60s on this December night. So this is your polygon right here, and again, the next county in line is going to be Bibb County. So I would imagine here in a matter of minutes the Weather Service is going to go ahead and post a warning for Bibb. Not yet, but I would imagine that's going to happen fairly soon. So if you are in Brent, if you are in Pondville, if you are in Centerville, just be watching this very carefully. If you are in Montevallo or Alabaster or Helena or Calera, watch this carefully. And I'm not saying it's going to come through your town, but I'm saying the trajectory, if it holds, will take it close to where you live. And this is a nighttime situation. We have these frequently here in this state, and don't wait until you see it or hear it. Don't wait until you hear some siren. You just need to go if you get into a polygon. That's why we say you respect the polygon. If you're in it, you do something immediately, and if you're not, don't worry about it. But again, you can see that, let's go a little closer. Let's take a closer look at this storm. And again, we're focusing on the velocity because this probably tells the story better than anything else. And again, that's your tornadic circulation. Let's expand it out just a little bit so we can see downtown Greensboro, which is located right here. Possible tornadic circulation right here. It looks like it's about to cross Highway 14, cross Highway 69 in a matter of minutes. And anybody with a Greensboro mailing address should be sheltered right now, but especially if you live in the city limits of Greensboro. I would say the greatest chance of this tornado affecting you will be on the north and west side of Greensboro, much like the situation in Demopolis. But again, remember, the beam is still probably 4,000 or 5,000 feet off the ground right here. We don't exactly know where that sucker is down on the ground. And once we get the beam a little lower, we're more confident in calling out specific landmarks, but oftentimes storms can be tilted, and that doesn't necessarily reflect the exact position. So, Brian, we've got you back now. Brian, it looks like you're on US 80 going back over towards 69, and you'll be taking a left-hand turn here soon, right?
Yes, I just entered Hale County.
Okay.
On US 80.
And again...
It's still producing a lot of lightning.
Right. And let me just remind you, too, that for everybody watching us on the television side, if you're watching us in our TV market, you're under a tornado watch until 11. The watch has been canceled for the far northern part of the state, up in the Tennessee Valley and northwest Alabama. Notice the counties have been taken out here. In fact, Winston and Marion, you've been taken out of this. So the risk of severe weather is ended. It's just a low-end threat north of Interstate 20 for these counties, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Gadsden, Aniana, Cullman, Fayette, Jasper, Vernon. Yes, there's a chance of severe weather, no doubt about that, but it's a lower end chance. The greater instability values are down here south of Interstate 20, and again, that storm remains very strong, remains a storm that shows strong signs of producing a tornado right now, and you can see that will come through Bibb and Shelby if it holds together, and maybe St. Clair. At some point, logic would suggest that thing will finally start to weaken and choke itself out. It might occlude and the whole thing just goes away. That happens sometimes. But there's the very small polygon here because this thing will be moving out of Hale County soon. But again, for Demopolis, your danger is over. And for Greene County, southern Greene County, Forkland, your danger is over. And now the focus is on Hale, specifically Greensboro. So let's go back to the radar. And we're going to show the velocity display because the velocity really tells the story. You can see with the reflectivity, it's just a big old mass of red. But you start drilling down and looking at the velocity, and that looks pretty good. I will say it's broadened out a little bit over the last couple of volume scans, which is a great thing. But this has been somewhat cyclical. We've seen it broaden out and then tighten right back up. At one point, coming through parts of Choctaw County, this thing was tighter than a tick's backside. But now it's a little broader, but still a dangerous storm. And that circulation looks like it might be crossing Highway 14 a little west of Greensboro, 69 a little north of Greensboro. But it's still close. So, again, everybody in downtown, points west and north, need to stay sheltered. I will say this, if you're south of Greensboro in Hale County, you're all clear here, south of Greensboro. And I don't like to use that word all clear, that you think clear skies. No, it's going to be raining and thunder and lightning and the weather's not good. We're talking the danger from a tornado. So if you're south of Greensboro, we'll give you an all clear from the tornado danger. Still, you're going to have rain, thunder, and lightning. The main concern now, it's obviously areas west and north of Greensboro, just maybe by a few miles. And again, downtown Greensboro still needs to be sheltered. Nobody should be traveling on the Highway 69 north, headed out of Greensboro, between Greensboro and Havana Junction, the home of the legendary J.B. Elliott.
Hey, James.
Yes.
The National Weather Service is saying that they're keeping an eye on this storm here in Pickens County as well for possible rotation.
Yeah, so that's a loft, right?
Something to keep an eye on.
Right. And again, this is just, you know, in our business, we call this junk convection. It's you get these little spinning, you know, you see signs of rotation way off the ground and never gets down to the ground. But true, you have to watch these, and that's why we say there's a lower end threat up here, but it's just something to watch right now. But there's a lot of rain, thunder, lightning if you're in Pickens or Fayette or Cullman or Walker counties, but nothing severe. So let's go back down and we'll focus on that Hale County storm. Now, if we have another warning, we'll start bouncing around. You know the deal. We'll go from one storm to the other. But we're going to stay right on this one. And again, you can see that it's just pouring rain, torrential rain. There might be some hail falling south of Greensboro, but let's pop on the velocity, and you can see the tornado signature right here, which is just west of Greensboro. And let's take a look at the CC, the correlation coefficient, to see if we see debris being lofted. And that's a pretty noisy look right there. It's not well defined, so that's a good thing. When you see a really strong negative, that means the radar is telling us there's something different about that target. It's not precipitation. It's something else. It doesn't correlate with everything else in the bin, which means it's tree limbs or parts of trees or parts of buildings being lofted. We just don't see a well-defined negative correlation coefficient spike right there, which is a good thing. And again, the circulation is a little broader, and we hope that trend continues, and we hope there's no warning for Bibb in Shelby County. But still, that's a pretty dangerous looking storm right here. There's no doubt we've got strong circulation here that could be a tornado down. It's crossed over Highway 14. It's now crossing over Highway 69, just north of Greensboro. And this is not that far from one of the tracks, April 27, 2011. That track probably a smidgen north of there, but still, next in line is going to be Highway 25, which is this highway right here. 25 runs through the Talladega National Forest back over to Brent. And our analog storm, May 27, 1973, that storm followed that track right up Highway 25 to Brent. And we had loss of life that night. 5 people died in Brent. And again, please understand, I'm not saying this is an EF4, and I'm not saying it's going to be in the same place, but I'm saying it's awfully close. There's a lot of similarities to this storm and that one back in 1973. Most people don't remember that, but by looking at weather events in the past, it gives you a good idea of what might happen in the future. So we love to do the analogs here. All right, Brian, where are you at? Looks like you're on 69 now, right?
Yes, and I'm beginning to get some more rain, and there's a pretty good west-east flow across the highway here. I'm generally moving north. The lightning has been pretty good, and I've been able to see a flat base, but I have not seen anything that I could identify as being a tornado or any kind of wall cloud or anything like that. And now I'm getting into more rain, which is making it even harder to see.
All right. Well, again, man, it's hard. You know, Brian, we're in a studio here, and that's what I do, and you're out in the field, and I know how hard that is. People often don't understand. You're out in the field, and it's just pitch black, and you're waiting on lightning. But understand, we've got your back. The one thing about the way we do it, we have Brian's back. So we will never rout Brian, and Brian knows himself. He's got, of course, radar in the chaser to go into a dangerous part of this storm. But again, we've got what could be a tornado circulation crossing Highway 69 just north of Greensboro, maybe by 3 or 4 miles. Next, it'll be crossing Highway 25 out here, and this is getting into a pretty sparsely populated area between Greensboro and Brent. Understand, people do live there. And if you live there, if one person lives there, that's all that matters. Every human life is precious, and that's the reason we're here. But the next population center with this storm up the line, it's Brent and Centerville, those 2 communities in Bibb County. So we're going to be watching the storm's structure very carefully, and the Weather Service in Birmingham will have a decision to make. Do they extend the tornado warning? There's no doubt the circulation is not as tight. It's broader. We don't see debris being lofted. This does not have the same structure it did 15, 30 minutes ago when it came through just west and north of Demopolis. And I would imagine tomorrow morning at the first light of day, we'll be able to find a damage path west of Demopolis. In fact, we know we've had 3 injuries west of Demopolis with this, with a house that was damaged. And most likely it got out there around the lock and dam, came across 43 north of downtown Demopolis, and now it's coming just north of Greensboro, and from there it's going to keep on going right down Highway 25, ultimately coming back over here toward Brent and Centerville, which is in Bibb County. So we'll see how the Weather Service handles this. It is now 8:55. The warning is scheduled to expire at 9:15, but the storm is going to be out of the county by 9:15. And Brian, you're going to have that fun part of chasing a storm that's moving 50 miles an hour, buddy.
Yeah, and I'm not moving 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I'm actually doing about 30.
Yeah, we look.
Rain. Yeah, the rain is just intense.
Yeah, you stay safe.
Reminds me more of a hurricane with the sheets flying across the highway.
Yeah, we're watching your stream there. It looks like it's just absolutely pouring, a quagmire down there.
Absolutely.
So the Weather Service is not planning on extending the warning at this time because it's broad, and I think that's probably the right call. So at the moment, there's a chance this thing will be canceled once it exits Hale County, and there will not be a warning extended back out into Bibb County. But that might change. We'll see. The one thing that the Weather Service in Birmingham has gotten so good at this is reducing the number of false alarms. There was a time, in fact, in 2011, during the big outbreak, the false alarm ratio was sitting around 80. 80% of all tornado warnings were false alarms. And they have done an amazing job of knocking that down from 80 down into the 30s. And I never thought it would be that low. They went back to basic science. So warnings really mean something now. And they're not just going to issue a tornado warning based on some broad circulation where there's obviously not a tornado. And that's the right thing to do. The easiest thing to do is to hit that warning button every time you see a spinner on radar. And before you know it, yeah, you'll catch every tornado, but your warning false alarm ratio is 90%. So they've done a great job with that. So they will not extend this if they believe there's no tornado here. And again, no doubt it's broad. Is there broad rotation? Yes. Tornado signature? Probably not at this time. So the warning will continue until 9:15 or until the time the storm exits the county. And again, the storm has cleared Greensboro. So we're going to give an all clear to the city of Greensboro, which is right here. And again, please understand when I say all clear, that doesn't mean you look up and you see stars. It is pouring rain. It is windy. There is thunder. There is lightning. The weather is not good. But in terms of a danger from a tornado, we'll give you an all clear from that. That's what that means, is the circulation that is broad is now northeast of Greensboro, moving northeast away from you. And this thing is moving at 50 miles per hour. Or I'm sorry, the latest update is now saying 40 miles per hour from the Weather Service. Still, that thing is moving along at a pretty good clip. So for the city of Greensboro, we'll give you an all clear. So we have had a supercell storm with strong evidence of a tornado passing just west and north of Demopolis, just west and north of Greensboro. And you just get the idea, if that thing would have positioned maybe 5 miles to the south, both of those cities could have been hit tonight. So you are blessed if you live in Demopolis or Greensboro and the western side of the state tonight. And understand this thing has produced a lot of damage. And while we have this storm we're still watching, and that's a pretty good looking, you know, like I say, this could tighten right back up. But let me say this, if you don't know this, we have had 2 deaths in the state tonight from tornadoes. The 2 deaths came in northern Lawrence County, up in the Tennessee Valley, from that little mesoscale vortex that came through, a bookend vortex. This was this evening, and it produced severe storms across the Tennessee Valley. We had a tornado near Cortland and Town Creek up in northern Lawrence, and that's where the 2 fatalities have been reported, and there are injuries in addition to that. Our news department is working on that, and we'll hit the 10 o'clock news, and let's see, it's 8:59 in 1 hour. So once we join Chris for the news, we'll get more on the fatalities up in the northern part of the state tonight. But again, that's the sad part of this. Like I say, this is one of these situations where going into this, we knew that the weather was going to be rough in spots. And it's been really rough in parts of Mississippi today, back in that moderate risk area. And if we can, let's pop up the latest Convective Outlook, Taylor. I wanted to show this from the Storm Prediction Center. They update this frequently during the day, and this is going to be an update from about 6, 7 o'clock this evening. And the moderate risk is gone. We have an enhanced risk where that thunderstorm is located right now, near Greensboro, Tuscaloosa, Greensboro, Demopolis, back down into South Mississippi. That's your enhanced risk, level 3 out of 5. The standard risk over most of the state, that's level 2 out of 5. That technically is called slight. We know that word is misleading, but most of the state in level 2, and then we have a low in level 1 over to the eastern suburbs of Atlanta. And when the next update comes out, that'll be the outlook for tomorrow. But with time, the threat will gradually diminish as the air becomes more stable and the upward dynamics lift away to the northeast with this trough that's produced all of the active weather today. So let's go back to the radar. And again, if you're just joining us, it is 9 o'clock. This is WBMA Birmingham. We are in the middle of tornado warning coverage tonight. We have one supercell storm. And Taylor, this is the only warning in the whole southeast. Wow. So there's one. And that's it, which is good. That's a good sign. We don't have any other supercells in Mississippi that are tornadic. We have nothing happening. And again, let me make this perfectly clear. If you're in Tuscaloosa, it's pouring rain right now. But there is no evidence of any severe weather in Tuscaloosa County, Pickens County, Fayette, Walker, Cullman. And again, it is just coming down in sheets. It's windy. You've got thunder and lightning. But remember, to be severe, a storm has to have winds of 58 miles per hour or greater, or hail 1 inch or larger in diameter. We have nothing like that in this batch of heavy rain here. And of course, that rain is helping to stabilize the atmosphere. And I honestly don't think we have many severe weather issues north of Interstate 20. The problem is that one storm right here that's down to the south of Tuscaloosa. It's south of Tuscaloosa by about 35 miles. Moving northeast, and that storm is going to be pushing up into Bibb County. And again, if it holds together, it's going to come up into Shelby County. But the air is a little more stable over here on this side of the state, so hopefully the weakening trend will continue. So let's go back and take a look at the velocity product, the single-site velocity product on the storm that is now northeast of Greensboro. And this storm still looks pretty tight. I mean, that thing is tightened back up. We've seen it loosen up a little bit. It seems to be a little cyclical, and again, that's a pretty good looking signature here. So if indeed it stays tight like that, you're going to see that warning expanded up into parts of Bibb County and maybe northern Perry County. And it's riding right up Highway 25. Highway 25, that's an amazing road to travel. It runs from Leeds, east of Birmingham, all the way down to sunny south near Thomasville. You've got the mountains in Shelby County, and you get down into South Alabama. I love that road. And this is the stretch where it's just flat. It's flat land here from Greensboro back up into Bibb County. The old radar site for years and years, old timers would remember this for years. Our radar site that served this part of the state was down in Bibb County near Centerville and Brent. And that radar site was destroyed by that tornado in 1973. And it's going to be, again, moving along pretty close to that track. So obviously nobody should be driving along Highway 25 between Greensboro and Brent over the next 30 minutes. Let's just get this thing out of here, and then you can drive. So let's bring in Brian Peters, who is driving, not in the path of this thing, but Brian, you're coming up from the south side. What are your conditions like there now?
It's just heavy rain right now, James. I'm sure the ground is probably appreciating it, but Brian Peters isn't appreciating it because the visibility is way down. No sign of any hail. Haven't seen anything in the way of any significant damage of any sort. Maybe a little bit of that fine debris, which indicates 35 to 40 miles an hour.
And Brian, real quick, we've got the new tornado warning, and I think they pretty much had to do that. The Weather Service has posted a tornado warning now for parts of Bibb, Hale, and Perry counties until 10. And that certainly is the right thing to do based on the fact that the velocity has tightened up again on this thing. So again, we have a tornado warning now in effect for parts of Bibb County and parts of Perry County, as well as parts of Hale County. Let me kind of explain who's in and who's out. West Blockton, you're in. And if you're in, that means you do something. You go to a safe place. West Blockton, you're in. Centerville, you're in. Brent, you're in. Again, Randolph, you're in. Pondville, you're in. Now, in terms of Perry County, this thing, Heiberger, I'll say you're in. You're on the far southern extent of the polygon here. This is Heiberger, right down Highway 5. That's Highway 25, and this is Hale County, and that far eastern part of Hale County is involved here. Now, this is Shelby right here, okay? So that's why we've been saying if this thing stays on that track, it could wind up in Shelby County. and it just doesn't want to go away. Let's go back to the velocity display on this thing, and right now it's in a fairly sparsely populated part of far eastern Hale County. And yeah, it's tight. I mean, that's a tornado signature right there. Highway 25 is right here. This is the county line. This is Hale County, and this is Bibb County. This is Pondville right up here. That's the side of the old WSR 57 radar site. And that's just nasty looking. That's a very well-defined tornado signature. This thing won't go away. It's hanging in there like a hair in a biscuit. And as long as it's like that, the warnings will be issued. And you've got to take this thing seriously. So again, if you're in Bibb County, in any of those places we called out, basically most of the county, you've got to be in a safe place. And what you need to do now is to think about these things. Number one, don't be driving. I mean, nobody should be driving in a tornado warning polygon. We see it over and over and over. You punch up our sky cams and people are driving around just like it's a sunny day. A car is a death trap during a tornado. A car is a marvelous thing, but you can't be in a car during a tornado. And if you're in a tornado warning polygon, same thing for mobile homes, wonderful affordable housing, but you can't stay in them during a tornado warning. If you're in a polygon, you've got to get out. So now is the time to get out of the mobile home if you're in Bibb County and get to that designated shelter where you go, or a business that's open 24/7, a gas station, a restaurant, anywhere that's a site-built structure that has small rooms and bathrooms and halls in there. And again, this is something you don't think about on a night like tonight when there's a tornado 10 miles away. You think about this on a sunny day where there's nothing going on and make plans for what happens late at night or during the course of the day. So now is the time you implement that plan. And this tornado is basically sitting now on the Perry-Hale County line. This is Hale, and this is actually Perry. Bibb County is up here. That's the county line. This is Bibb, this is Perry, and this is Hale right here. That thing is sitting on the Perry-Hale County line. And we've got Brian Peters, who's going to be coming in on the back edge of this thing. Brian is coming up through Greensboro, and then Brian's going to come up Highway 25. Brian, tell us where you're at right now. I'm seeing some street lights.
I'm in Greensboro, basically, at the intersection with 14, 25, and 69, all kind of tied together right here. I'm staying primarily with 69 and have seen a couple of spots coming into Greensboro here, like just at this intersection right here, where there's obviously been 35 to 40 mile an hour wind. Again, that debris on the highway, but it's very small debris. It's not big debris. And the good news is, too, James, everybody seems to have power, so there doesn't seem to be any areas where there's been any blackouts. So that's good news that the wind hasn't been enough to take down power lines.
Yeah, that is great. And again, Taylor has indicated a lowering of the correlation coefficient, which represents debris being lofted again. That's a very well-defined TDS. That is a tornado debris signature right now. And again, that TDS is in the far northern part of Perry County. So just be aware of that. We now have strong indication that there's a tornado down once again with this storm. And again, that is a tornado that is probably down. And that, again, this is Hale up here, this is Bibb right up here, and this is Perry, and that's your lowered correlation coefficient. This is where tornado debris is being lofted. This could be tree limbs, parts of trees, parts of buildings, things like that. But it's not precipitation. What this is telling us, it's not rain, it's not hail, it's not any type of precipitation or hydrometeor. It is something different. And in the case of something like this, it is going to be debris. And again, that tornado is going to be crossing out of northern Perry, coming up into Bibb. And again, if you're in Centerville or Brent or West Blockton or Pondville, the call to action right now is to be in a good, safe place until this thing passes. The problem we have, we've learned this through social science studies. When we show you this stuff, people don't tend to do anything. And I understand that. You want to see the tornado before you do something. Oftentimes, during severe weather, we can show, during the day, we can show amazing video, and we have so much video that comes in, but we just can't, we can't do that in a situation like this because it is just so dark outside tonight. But if we can we take Wexo 5 real quick for just a second? This is going to be some video coming from Heiberger, which is in Perry County. And again, it's going to be awfully hard to see, but this is what the sky looks like in Perry County. Heiberger is along Alabama Highway 5, which is located down to the south of Brent. And it's very close to this TDS, the tornado debris signature. And it's like the shots we've been seeing from Brian. We just can't see that much, and we can't see any evidence of a wall cloud or a tornado here, but the lightning is almost nonstop. So let's go back to our double box. And again, it is now a little after 9 o'clock. I'm James Spann with Taylor Sarallo here in the studio. We have Brian Peters out in the storm chaser. We have a tornadic supercell thunderstorm that is now moving through the far northern part of Perry County. This is about to cross up into Bibb County. Brian is on the road. Brian is coming through Greensboro. He's leaving Greensboro now, coming up Highway 25. Highway 25 is this road right here, so Brian's going to be coming up through here on the back side of this. We want Brian on that back side. That's the safe way to do this. And again, that storm is moving northeast. Brian is moving northeast. He stays on that back side. And let's expand this out. I want to show Centerville and Brent. That's going to be the next population center in the path of this thing. So let's expand it out a little bit more. There we go. So this is your tornado signature right here. This is in the far northwest corner of Perry County. That'll be crossing into Bibb County. This is Bibb right here. This is Brent. This is Centerville right here. Centerville and Brent are basically divided by the Cahaba River. Brent on the north side, Centerville on the south side. And, you know, this could very well, on that trajectory, pass a little north of Centerville and Brent. That's what happened to Demopolis and Greensboro. That's the best possible thing that could happen unless you live in those areas. The tornadic circulation stayed west and north of Demopolis, west and north of Greensboro, and it could stay west and north of Centerville and Brent. But again, we just can't guarantee that right now. The right thing to do is to be in a safe place. You want to be in a small room, lowest floor, near the center, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the tornado as you can. Put a helmet on, a bicycle helmet, a batting helmet, a motorcycle helmet. And that's not just for kids, that is for everybody. You might look goofy. I look goofy wearing a helmet, but again, most people die from tornadoes from blunt force trauma wounds to the skull region. You'll look back on a day like April 27, 2011. Many of the 252 people that died that day would be alive today if they would have had a helmet on. And it's not that hard to do. So in your safe place, we want those for just everybody and guests that you might have. It's Christmas. And look, this is not unusual. If you've lived here a long time, you know this is the core of the tornado season, November, December. We had a horrible tornado on this day 19 years ago in Tuscaloosa, an EF4. So this is when they happen, and it's not that odd. So again, we've got a tornadic circulation right here coming up into Bibb County. That'll be moving in the general direction of Centerville and Brent. It might stay a little north and west of Centerville and Brent, but West Blockton down to Centerville, Brent, safe place. If you're in Randolph, you're on the far southern edge of this polygon, you can be in a safe place. That's, you know, it's a course of least regret. That's not a bad decision. And certainly if you're in Pondville, you want to be in a safe place. Pondville sits about right here. You know, if the old radar was here, you could just look right back into this thing. So, Brian, tell us where you are. It looks like you're out of Greensboro, trucking down Highway 25, right?
Yeah, yes, James, and I'd like to point out that in Greensboro there's some street flooding occurring, especially at intersections where that water is, you know, ponding at one of the intersections. And I went through some water that was probably close to a foot deep, you know, near the curb. So anybody who happens to be out driving behind this storm, like I'm doing, basically you want to be careful about that street flooding because it can really, you know, move your car around as you're driving through it.
Yeah, and indeed, this rain is coming down. It's again, I've been watching your stream, Brian. Looks like you're driving through Hurricane Frederick or something down there, or Ivan or Katrina. It looks just pure tropical downpours.
It does, and some of these waves of the precipitation moving across the highway remind me of a hurricane situation. Fortunately, the wind's not that strong. And as I mentioned, coming into Greensboro, I've seen several places where obviously the wind has been up 35, 40 miles an hour, but no signs of any kind of significant tornado path or any damage of any real significance, just a few leaves mostly.
Okay, great. And again, for those that were watching, we sent Brian a little north of Demopolis to go up 43. He did not find a tornado path crossing 43. Didn't go that far up 43, but again, there could be one. Again, once we get the first light of day tomorrow, we're going to see a lot of what's going on here. But again, the people just need to pay attention to this, and if we call out your town, and if you're in the polygon, you've got to respect the polygon and get into a safe place and go about what you're supposed to do. And if you lived here for a long time, you know what you're supposed to do. Now, the one thing we also are cognizant of, a lot of people are just moving here. Maybe they come from California. They're earthquake people. They're not tornado people. Maybe they come here from Miami. They're hurricane people. They're not tornado people. There's a whole different ballgame here. But we'll talk you through this. But the key during a tornado to stay safe, it's being in a site-built structure, lowest floor. You don't have to be underground. You don't. A bathroom, a hallway, a closet. Preferably near the center of the house, as many walls between you and the tornado as you can get. You slap on a helmet, you'll be fine almost every time. So that's what we want you to do, and the idea is to come up with a plan way before this happens. And the other half of the battle is getting the warnings. A lot of people do not receive tornado warnings well. They think you're supposed to hear a siren. No, you can't. You've got to have a weather radio at your house and WEA, wireless emergency alerts enabled on your phone. So here we go, and it's getting a little broader, still fairly tight. Circulation right here, and this is in the far, far, far northwest corner of Perry. This is basically where Perry, Hale, Bibb all come together. And this thing has been an amazing storm. This thing has been lasting for a long, long, long time. That's going to come right up in the direction of Centerville, Brent, the two biggest population centers in Bibb County. And again, it might stay a little north of there. But remember, sometimes storms turn a little to the right of the mean flow, the ones that are rotating like a top, and that might happen. Understand they typically do go in straight lines, but occasionally they're right-turning storms in a favorable environment like this. And if that's the case, that would be more of a threat. That's why these polygons have they're not big, they're just a part of a county, but they do allow for room for any errors here. And if you're not in the polygon, don't worry about it. But obviously, the next county up the line is Shelby County. So if this thing stays together, comes through Bibb, then a warning could be needed for Shelby County fairly soon. And this storm produced a lot of damage in Mississippi. It's produced some damage in parts of Choctaw County. We've had some injuries in Marengo County, 3 injuries, a house that was damaged west of Demopolis, and some other reports. We've got a report of injuries in the Saltwell community of Marengo County. The injuries, the great news here, they're non-life-threatening. The injuries were to a mother and her 2 young children in the Saltwell community that's west of Demopolis, and again, not life-threatening, which is great. We have had 2 fatalities in the state today as a result of tornadoes. That was up in Lawrence County, northern Lawrence County, around Town Creek and Cortland. It has been a rough day, and it's not done, but we don't want anything like that. But again, we've heard of no serious injuries with this storm, but it did produce a lot of chaos back in Mississippi on the journey through the Magnolia State. And that thing, again, is coming right up toward Bibb County. It's crossing the county line right now. That's US 82. US 82 is the core drive from Tuscaloosa to Montgomery. That's US 82 right here. This Alabama 5, Highway 5 goes up to North Bibb and Caffey Junction up to the north, and down to the south it goes down to Marion. And we'll just see if this thing continues on that track coming up into Shelby County. So, Brian, it looks like the rain is not as bad where you are right now.
Yes, I'm behind the heaviest rain. The heaviest rain is actually also with some pretty strong gusts. Again, not severe, but wind gusts probably 40 to 45 miles an hour. And this, the visibility is a lot better, and there isn't any sign right now of any flooding along the roadway either, just what I saw in Greensboro. Okay,
great. And again, Brian's on that drive from Greensboro back up to Brent, and you've not seen any evidence of tornado damage, I assume, Brian, on that drive.
That's correct. I've not seen anything. Again, small debris indicating maybe 40-mile-an-hour gusts, but not any debris that would be significant.
Okay. And seeing some reports on social media that a lot of folks are heeding the warnings, and they're going to some of the community tornado shelters, which is certainly great news. In In fact, let's take WEX 05 if we can quickly. This is going to be just a quick shot inside the tornado shelter in Brent in Bibb County. And it's great to see that people are listening to the warnings and taking those things seriously. So again, let's go back to our double box. And if you're just joining us, it is now 9:19. I'm James Spann with Taylor Sarallo here in the weather office. We have Brian Peters in that dark, stormy night out there in the storm chaser watching a lone severe storm, which makes it a lot easier on us. A lot of times we're working 3, 4, 5 storms with tornadoes. Tonight we're just working one. This is passed just north and west of Demopolis, just north and west of Greensboro, and now it's coming into Bibb County out of Hale. And we have seen this thing go through a lot of cycles. It is a cyclic storm, but again, it just doesn't want to go away. And so anybody in Brent and Centerville, you need to stay in that shelter, stay in a safe place until we give you the all clear. We'll be able to do that fairly soon. And if it holds together, next up it's going to be Shelby County up and through here. But again, in your safe place, you know, the one thing out of all the things we've talked about, the big deal is the helmets. We did not adequately push wearing helmets enough back in 2011. And we know that cost some lives. So we encourage people to please consider getting a helmet for everybody, including adults. And look, I know it doesn't make any sense. I don't look good wearing a helmet. I mean, you put a batting helmet on me, it's like a, cocktail dress on a hog. It just doesn't look good. But it will keep you safe. It will absolutely keep you safe. I hear you laughing, Brian. You ever seen
that's quite a visual there,
yeah,
James.
I don't look good wearing a helmet. But listen, I know a lot of ER docs, and they will tell you that over and over and over and over, if they would have had a helmet on, a simple $5 bicycle helmet, they'd be alive today. So that we have not done an adequate job of pushing that point. So you need to have that, not just for a lot of people that, well, it's for the kids. No, it's for everybody, because again, every life is precious, and that's our position on that. The air horn thing, a lot of people are injured. They might be lofted, and they can't vocalize their need for help because of their injuries, and they can't vocalize anything, but they can squeeze that little air horn, and you can hear that for such a long way. And then the hard sole shoes, that's a big deal. Your feet can be just torn up in a tornado debris field like that. So again, that's what we want you to have in your tornado safe place. So again, this thing's getting broad again. It comes and it goes, but it's probably going to come right back at us. So we have a relatively broad circulation now in Bibb County. This thing is, I'd say, about maybe 6, 7 miles west of Brent. And again, that's going to be moving northeast, and most likely this is going to be crossing US 82 a little to the west-northwest of Brent. So the call to action on the travel, don't be driving on US 82. Now, again, people are saying, well, you got Brian out there driving. Well, that's because Brian's in a safe place. He's coming up behind the storm. There's no danger where he is. But US 82, this thing is going to be crossing the highway between the Tuscaloosa County line and Brent, and you just can't be out there in that car. Your car can be flipped, it can be rolled, it can be lofted if there's a violent tornado. And the car is just the worst possible place to be. West Blockton is up in here, and again, that's Highway 5. This is the Cahaba River right here. That's Alabama Highway 5, and again, that's moving up in this direction. So everybody from Brent, Centerville, back up to West Blockton, up Highway 5, over to the Tuscaloosa County line on US 82. Just stay sheltered, and we promise we'll be here. We'll give you an all clear when that time comes, and hopefully that time will come sooner than later. The problem we have with this type storm is the fact that it is in a very sparsely populated part of the state, and if there's damage here, we're typically not going to hear about it. Often the cellular service is disrupted, and we just don't get reports out of some rural parts of the state. So again, I just don't know what's happened between Greensboro and the Bibb-Perry County line right here. But it's conceivable there could be some tornado damage here. But again, this thing is broadened out, which is good news, and we're going to keep an eye on this, but for the moment, it is much broader. And Brian, have you crossed over into Bibb County yet?
No, I have not.
Okay. In fact, I can spy on you. You got GPS in that chaser. I can actually...
I am concerned. I did see a police officer with his blue lights running going south. That's always concerning.
Yeah, and again, we don't know, in a situation like this, we just don't know. And again, Taylor is showing the correlation coefficient product, and we had that really tight spot back here, and it's going to get really broad and noisy, which is a sign that maybe, and I see we have a new severe thunderstorm warning. Let's go back to the watch warning big board, and this is a new severe thunderstorm warning that's going to be south of the tornado warning. This will include much of Perry County. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Perry County until 10:15 tonight. This is for that segment of the storm that's south of Bibb County, and the Weather Service believes there could be sufficient wind in that segment of the line to maybe exceed 50, 55 miles per hour. So a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Perry County until 10:15. And again, the Weather Service is watching this broad rotation now that's coming up into Bibb County. And this is Shelby right here. Birmingham sits right here. In fact, let's expand this out. Let me just kind of, and listen, you know, sometimes I probably fuss too much about maps and people can't read them. Look, phones are great. They are really cool. You tell it you want to go to Joe's house, and it gives you turn-by-turn directions to Joe's house. But we don't look at maps anymore. And I understand that it's not your job to be a geography expert or a weather expert. That's what we do. So let me kind of explain where we are. Birmingham sits right here, Tuscaloosa right here. This is the storm that is producing the possible tornado coming up into Bibb County. So this will not affect the city of Tuscaloosa, this one storm. Now, you're still under a tornado watch here. The county's in yellow, but again, this one storm will not affect the city of Tuscaloosa. Birmingham, it's going to stay most likely south of Birmingham. If this thing holds together, it's going to come up into parts of Shelby County and maybe over here into St. Clair or Talladega. We'll just have to see. Again, as we get later into the night, the dynamics are going to be pulling away from the region, so the upward motion will decrease, and there should be a slow decrease in the instability values as well. So at some point, this thing will weaken most likely, but for now, it's broad rotation coming up into Bibb County. And I would say if you're north of Interstate 20, all these counties in through here, Fayette, Lamar, Walker, Cullman, Blount, Etowah, DeKalb, Marshall, the odds of severe weather tonight are pretty low. This is the big picture. And yeah, look, I understand it's nasty. It is just pouring rain. There's thunder, there's lightning. You might have some small hail. But in terms of severe, no. We have no warnings. We don't expect any warnings in through here. The chance of any warnings are low. Not zero, but low. The better instability values are down here south of Interstate 20. And again, that's the storm right there that prompted that warning for parts of Choctaw, Sumter, Marengo, Greene, Hale, Perry, and now Bibb counties. And again, to the south of that, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for that segment of the line that might produce strong straight-line winds that might exceed 50 or 55 miles per hour. And again, back in through here, we have severe thunderstorm warnings for parts of Choctaw County, but no tornado warnings. The only tornado warning in the whole United States of America tonight is the one that's affecting parts of central Alabama, this storm right through here. So let's go back into this. We'll do a single site look at this. And again, the nice thing about it now, you know, about, an hour ago, the beam was 10,000 feet. Now the beam, well, I can tell you real quick, the beam, it's going to be much, much lower. Looking at that particular storm, the beam is probably about 2,000 feet. So we're getting a much better look at this. This is Brent right here. This is Centerville. Again, this is your circulation right back in through here. Circulation is in the back part of the storm. The storm is moving this way, so this is the leading edge. If this were daylight, you'd probably see a pretty nasty-looking shelf cloud here. Shelf clouds have nothing to do with a wall cloud, nothing to do with a tornado. If you're going to have that, it's going to be back here in the southwestern flank. And again, that's going to be coming right up in the general direction, Centerville, Brent. Again, maybe crossing Highway 82, somewhere between Brent and the Tuscaloosa County line. This is the polygon extent right here. The polygon does include West Blockton, north of Centerville and Brent, and Randolph kind of sits down here on the far southern edge of the polygon. Most likely this stays well to the north of Randolph and 6 Mile. This Highway 25 going back over toward Wilton and Montevallo right here. So we'll just kind of see. Let's go back to the velocity display. We'll bounce back between these various products, and this is pretty broad. Like you get a brush and you just kind of smear everything out. We saw that really tight couplet in through here earlier. It's still rotating. This thing is spinning like a top, but it's not that violent-looking circulation we had 15 minutes ago. But remember, we've had it go broad, tightens right back up. At some point, it's going to stay broad, but we just don't know that. And again, the Weather Service will continue the warning for Bibb County. The warning for Bibb will continue until 10. It is now 9:29. And it'll be gone before 10 o'clock. It'll be out of the county by 10 o'clock. But again, for the next 30 minutes, and I know it is so inconvenient, especially for people watching us on their phone, and we thank you for watching. and you might be watching in a community shelter, and those are great. We are so thankful for our EMs, the emergency managers that work on getting these community shelters. They are a godsend because so many people don't have adequate shelter where they live. Maybe they live in a mobile home. But having said that, as great as they are, you really don't want to sit there for 4, 5, 6 hours. That's just not working for you. You know, I mean, so hopefully we can get you out of there in a matter of 15 or 20 minutes, but it's going to take a little while to get this thing out of the county. So again, it almost looks like one of these bookend vortex type features we see in the radar classes we take that's coming through Bibb. And this is similar to the signature that came through the Tennessee Valley earlier that dropped tornadoes in counties like Lawrence and Morgan and Madison. So we'll see if this little bookend vortex feature stays in place coming up into Shelby. You got to watch this, and we'll do that very carefully. So we're going to obviously stay with this. But again, the good news, this is the only tornado warning in the state right now. The only one. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning down to the south of parts of Perry County, and that's about it. And again, the tornado watch has been canceled for counties up here in northwest Alabama and the Tennessee Valley. Madison, Limestone, Morgan, Lawrence, Winston, Marion, Franklin, Colbert, Lauderdale, Jackson. Your risk of severe weather, it's done. You're done for this event. And just hopefully you're done for the year. Looks like things will be quiet for the rest of this week and hopefully Christmas week as well. We do note a severe thunderstorm warning down here for southern Choctaw County from Butler south, and really that's about it. So we've got 1, 2, 3 severe thunderstorm warning polygons and the 1 tornado warning polygon. And the Storm Prediction Center will have some interesting decisions to make because this watch is set to expire at 11. The question is, do they extend that watch? And they'll be having some decisions to make. And they do a great job out in Norman. Got a lot of buddies out there, and I can't say enough about my friends at the Storm Prediction Center. All right, Brian, what you got for us? Where you at? I think Brian's eating a taco right now. Yo, Brian.
I am not.
I knew that would get him when the greatest moments, Brian, are during the winter storms when you pull into the Taco Bell or the McDonald's or the Burger King. That's the greatest live television ever. But you can't do that when we got tornadoes around.
Absolutely, but the only thing for supper tonight was Cheetos and an orange drink. So
that's not good, Brian. You can do better than that. So
I know I should, absolutely. But, you know, when you're storm chasing, you have to eat what you can eat when you can eat it.
Exactly. No, I'm in there with you. Kind of the same business here. So
I wanted to point out, James, that the air is definitely stabilized a great deal behind the storm. The temperature I'm showing now, which was in the lower 70s ahead of that storm, is now in the lower 60s, 61 to be specific.
Right, and I should mention, I guide you going up Highway 25. You're in Moundville right now. I'm spying.
Just approaching, yeah.
I'm spying on you. So again, Brian's going to come back to Birmingham and loop back down and catch it that way. Again, what we're trying to do is catch a storm here that's going 40 or 50 miles an hour in the middle of the night, which is almost impossible to do. But again, you can see that this little vortex feature is coming right through Bibb County right now. If you're in Centerville and Brent, the weather conditions have deteriorated. And it is a situation where we got to watch this thing. I know the circulation is broad. In fact, let's stop this and let me show the actual velocity display on here. Again, this is the reflectivity, and it's really broad. That's not really a classic tornado signature here. So again, we've got this broad circulation coming through Bibb County, and we'll just see how it behaves. I would say at this moment there's not a tornado there. That certainly doesn't look like one. We don't see debris being lofted. There's no evidence of anything going on right now. But broad rotation coming through Centerville and Brent, Pondville. In fact, that broad circulation is almost right at that old radar site, way back in the old days. And again, you can see evidence on that volume scan. It's a little tighter. So this thing has had a history of becoming broad, tightening up again. We can't let down our guard. So if you are in this polygon, you respect the polygon. You stay in a safe place until we give you an all clear, and then you can go on about your business. This should be the last severe storm of the night for folks that are dealing with this. For example, if you're in Demopolis and Greensboro, there's just a low-end chance you'll see another one. I guess you might, but the odds of another one are fairly small. and you can get to bed and get ready for a day tomorrow at work or school. So broad circulation coming right up into downtown Brent. For those that are not old enough to remember, that tornado killed 5 people in Brent Sunday night, May 27, 1973. Killed a man in the Brent Baptist Church. His name was Andrew Mitchell. I went down there that night as a teenager. I was ending my junior year in high school, and we had no cell phones in 1973. My hobby was ham radio, still is today. We were it. We were one of the first groups down there, and I will never forget that. That was a life-changing night for me, and we stayed down there for 3 days. But it just tore that place up. It was such a horrible situation. Greensboro took a direct hit that night. It was really bad in Greensboro. It came through Shelby County south of Birmingham and then lifted again on the eastern side of the state. But clearly that's not, this is nothing like that here. That Brent tornado in 73 was an EF4. This is nothing like that. In fact, again, this is relatively broad, but still, at any minute, that thing might drop again. Sometimes these things go through an occlusion process, they redevelop, and they come right back down. So you have to stay sheltered as this storm comes on through Bibb County, and it's got that really suspicious look. Let's go back to the reflectivity, and again, you see that thing right there, that comma shape. You never like to see that, and a lot of times you can have within that comma shape these tornadoes that drop out of that thing, and that happened up in the Tennessee Valley earlier tonight. That's where we had some loss of life up in northern parts of Lawrence County. So that's not really a good signature, and I don't like that considering the dynamics we have at play, the volatility of the atmosphere tonight. But that's going to keep on coming up into Shelby County. So next in line, places like Montevallo and Alabaster and Helena. So just be aware that if you're in those Shelby County communities we're calling out, Alabaster, you've got to watch this thing because it's going to move through Shelby County. For the moment, the velocity display, it's relatively broad, but again, it could tighten up at any moment now. But the good thing about it is the only storm we have in the state in progress right now, the only thunderstorm that has prompted a tornado warning. If you've watched us over the years, we've bounced between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these things going on down at the same time. I want to go to the Skycam network if we can take that full screen. I want to show the Tuscaloosa Skycam. I'm looking for the environment. And that's Birmingham 68 over 65. That dew point tells you a story. It's a very balmy night. When the dew point hits 65 on a December night, that is a very ripe, volatile atmosphere. So that's our Tuscaloosa Skycam, out of focus, but again, I'm looking for the numbers. Down below that University Boulevard, 68 over 66. Let's go to Grandview Medical Center. This is in northern Shelby County, or really on the Jefferson-Shelby County line. And we're looking for the numbers. And again, the dew point is the key number. And that one might not come. Let's try Galleria Tower if that one's not coming up, because we'll get another set of, there we go, 68 over 65. So let's go to Jasper now. Let's work our way back into this rain mass and see what the dew point looks like up in there. I would imagine it might be a bit lower at this point. Jasper's down to 60 and dropping. And again, once we get those dew points back in the 50s and the 40s, that is a stable air mass. And tomorrow's going to be a radically different kind of day. We stay in the 40s all day with a strong north wind. It'll be cloudy, overcast during the morning. So again, this air mass will not be here much longer. So let's go back to our double box situation.
Hey, James, I do want to point out that we're getting word that this watch will be extended in time to the Georgia state line. So we're still waiting on that to come out, but just so folks aren't surprised when we do have a new watch issued. Okay.
Yeah, I think that makes good sense based on what's happened today. And again, clearly the circulation here is really broad now. That is a very broad signature, but I just don't like the way it looks. So stay sheltered. The Weather Service is going to maintain the warning at this time. And if they get a series of volume scans with this really broad circulation, they will allow the warning to expire or cancel that thing early. But again, the Weather Service is in the process of extending or issuing a new tornado watch that will run over here to the Georgia state line. So if you're in places like Ashland and Lineville and Talladega and Heflin and Roanoke and Wadowee and Spring Garden and Piedmont and in those places, you'll be under a tornado watch here in a matter of minutes, and this will run for several more hours that will carry us probably on past midnight tonight. Looks like we have is that a severe thunderstorm warning? Here's a new one. Here, this one just came in. This is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect now for parts of Autauga, Bibb, Chilton, and Dallas counties. This is not a tornado warning down here, but a severe thunderstorm warning. Basically, all of Chilton County, northern Autauga County, and the northern tip of Dallas County, and the old one included parts of Perry County. So this is the southern extent of that line that will be capable of producing strong straight line winds. So again, if you're in places like Thorsby, Jemison, Clanton, Verbena, Fairview, Maplesville, Stanton, Ryderville, Jones, you're in a severe thunderstorm warning where you might see strong straight line winds. Billingsley and Autauga County, winds might exceed 50, 55 miles an hour. We say this a lot. It really doesn't matter if it's a tornadic circulation or straight line winds. You just need to know that it's coming. And so you might want to be in a good, safe place in your home, even though it's not a tornado warning. It's a severe thunderstorm warning down here. Let's go back to the radar. I want to kind of show the view from this thing and show you what the structure is. Yeah, let's leave it right there. I like that view. So a little vortex is up here in Bibb County. And trailing that, you've got a line of storms with really strong winds. And that's come on through Marion. So for Marion, the danger is ended here. But that's going to be sweeping through northern Dallas County, again up around the community of Jones, Billingsley, Fairview, Maplesville, Ryderville, Stanton, Clanton, Jemison, Thorsby, Lomax, Verbena. Basically, all of Chilton County is going to deal with this thing. And again, these are the approximate arrival times in relationship to the time we have right now. So this might produce winds of 40, 50, 60 miles per hour. That might be enough to knock down trees and power lines. Be aware of that. And that will keep on moving on to the east, crossing the Coosa, ultimately into Coosa County. But this is just that little part we've got to watch up here in the top side of this thing. Let's animate this, do a loop if we can. And again, I want to show you how we've got this little vortex, little mesoscale vortex coming through here. And let's expand that a little bit so we can see the history of this thing. And this came through close to Demopolis and close to Greensboro. And yeah, it's really developed that comma head configuration here over the last 15 minutes or so. And often when you see that, there might be a small tornado up and through here and then damaging winds down here below that. And this convective mass will come over here and cross I-65 and then ultimately cross into the eastern side of the state. So just be aware of that. So let's zoom back into Bibb County. Let's look at the velocity display. And we'll take a look and see how the velocities look. And it's getting chaotic. A lot of times you can have these really small scale vortices within this like that and like this, where it's going to be awfully hard even for some old goober that's been doing this for so long to figure out where they are. In terms of a tornadic circulation, the main message is this: you stay sheltered. If you are in a shelter now in Bibb County, you stay sheltered. I can't show you this well-defined velocity couplet. I can't show you debris being lofted. I don't have the hook echo and the debris ball like we often show you. It gets really noisy sometimes in a situation like this. But again, you can have these small tornadoes that can drop in a heartbeat without much notice. So again, if you're in Bibb County in this polygon, you want to stay in a good, safe place until this thing passes on through. And if you're in Centerville, Brent, we'll give you an all clear here in about 10 minutes. In about 10 minutes or so. So the tornado warning for Bibb County continues until 10. We have circulation near Brent and Centerville right now, moving northeast at 40. And again, if this continues, the next county in line, it's going to be Shelby County. And if you're in Montevallo, if you are in Wilton, if you are in Maline or Alabaster or Calera or Helena, just keep an eye on this and we'll see how it goes. And again, the nice thing, this is the radar here, so we're getting a nice shot right down into this, down into that storm that is now in Bibb County. And with each volume scan, again, you can see the structure looks a little different in here, but it's clearly disorganized. Let's check in with Brian Peters. Brian, it looks like you're back near Tuscaloosa now.
I am coming up on 2059 at Tuscaloosa on Alabama 69, and the rain is steady but not extremely heavy. I've not seen any additional signs of any kind of, flooding along the roadways or anything like that. and have not seen any other additional signs of any minor damage at all. So that's good news. And a lot of places have all their power, so it looks like the lights stay on. That means that there's not been any serious damage. I hope that.
And by the way, we have a number of taco restaurants in Tuscaloosa offering you a free taco, but you have no time for that.
Right.
You got work to do. So we have a new... watch the graphic, and in just a second, you're going to see the new counties pop on, Brian. The new tornado watch has just been issued. It's going to be in effect until 10Z, which is 4 a.m. And Brian, sleep is for who?
I'm sorry?
Sleep is for who?
Sissies.
Yes, there you go. We don't sleep much in the weather business. So, again, watch the eastern side here. You're going to see the counties fill in just a second. And what this is going to do, this new watch will extend this over to the Georgia state line until 4 a.m. I'm not so sure we see that much severe weather after midnight. We might. Again, the atmosphere is volatile, but as we've talked about, the upper dynamics will be pulling away with time. And as that happens, the intensity should gradually go downhill. But you can see we got that one little bitty tornado warning polygon for Bibb. In fact, let's zoom back into that. Let's keep this map up, and let's zoom in a little tighter here. And it looks like the Weather Service has tightened up the polygons. So West Blockton, you've been taken out. So if you're in West Blockton, we're going to give you an all clear from this tornado danger. Let's back it out a little bit. Let me show you West Blockton, which is right there. So this is West Blockton. This is Brent. Let's zoom back in tighter now. And again, just want to show you who's involved in this. Everybody along Highway 25 back over to the Shelby County line is in. This Highway 139 out here around Briarfield going south down toward Randolph. But this is the part of the county where we're still concerned. Little town of 6 Mile here, which is between Montevallo and Brent. This is Ashby and this is Oakley. And again, Randolph is just right down the road. So that's the part of Bibb County that is still under a tornado warning. And that's the reason we're here. We've been here at this TV station for a long time, 23 years or longer, going on 24, and the policy has always been if there's a tornado warning for any county in our TV market, we go on the air and we stay on the air, and that's what we've always done, we will always do. And the minute we lose the tornado warnings, we'll go back to regular programming and do frequent updates, but not a continuous type thing. So now let's go to the radar. And what we're going to do is look at the velocity display, and we're very close to giving Centerville and Brent the all clear. Not quite. We're almost there. And again, it looks like you've got, different vortices within this thing. This is a complex little mesoscale pattern that's formed here. And these circulations have kind of reformed down to the south in this comma head, and that's going to be coming right up Highway 25. So again, if you're in Wilton or Montevallo, just watch. And in about 10 to 15 minutes, the Weather Service will have to make that decision. Do they extend the warning into Shelby County, or do they let it go? Do they think it's broad? Part of the decision process is, do we have any damage in Bibb County? And Taylor's watching our Sky Watchers and all the social media channels, and I'm doing the same thing. And I've not seen any damage so far coming out of Bibb, which is great. We've had damage in Marengo, and really I've not seen a lot of damage in Hale. But remember, it's night. These were sparsely populated areas, and we often don't know about the damage until tomorrow morning, the first light of day. We'll see. But I would imagine if we can get through without any significant damage in Bibb County, the Weather Service might decide just to let it go and use a severe thunderstorm warning, which still is very significant. You have to pay attention to those things. But again, you can see evidence here of what might be another tornado trying to form here. Centerville is right here. Brent is right here. The Cahaba River is right there. That's the Cahaba. Brent, Centerville, right here up on the hill. And we're kind of watching this spot right here with a higher core of reflectivity, and that's moving north right up Highway 25 in the general direction of 6 Mile and Wilton and Montevallo. And we'll see here in a matter of minutes if the Weather Service decides to keep that warning intact. The sad news tonight, we have had 2 fatalities in the state. We've had loss of life. 2 people died in northern Lawrence County near the towns of Cortland and Town Creek. This happened late this afternoon from a very similar type feature where there was very significant damage. Others were injured. I don't know the full injury count or the details. We'll get that from news once we hit the newscast here, hopefully at the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. We're coming up on 12 minutes now before 10. If this tornado warning is not extended, we'll hit the 10 o'clock news on time tonight. We'll just have to see, but we'll get more details on that. We have had no loss of life in the central part of the state. We've had some tornado damage, but no loss of life, which is a good thing. There's your new watch. So we now have a tornado watch on the eastern side of the state until 4 a.m. tomorrow. And that includes counties to the Georgia state line and basically all of central Alabama. The two counties in our TV market not under a watch are Winston and Marion. In fact, let's keep this perspective. Let me show the wide view, the wide radar view. And understand, I want you to know if you're north of Interstate 20 in North Alabama, the weather is not good. It's pouring rain right in through here. Rain is coming down really good. We'll pop the radar back on here. And the storms are not severe, though. They're producing heavy amounts of rain, thunder, lightning, gusty winds. But they're simply not severe. You've got to have winds of 58 miles per hour or greater, or hail 1 inch in diameter or larger for a warning to be issued. And while the weather is not good, they are just underneath all those limits. There's all of the devices are telling me there's a new tornado watch, which we already knew, but thank you. But again, this is the feature right here, that little vortex right there with a trailing band of storms, where the air is more unstable down to the south of Interstate 20. So let's zoom back in, if we can, Taylor, to our storm that is in Bibb. And the behavior of this will pretty much determine if we hit the newscast at 10 o'clock and if the warning is extended into Shelby. Shelby County is right here, and this thing is racing along at a pretty good clip. It's moving at 40, 45 miles an hour, and you can see the leading edge is coming up into Shelby County right now. You got Montevallo down here. You got Calera, Alabaster, Maline, Helena. And it's that southern part of Shelby County that will be affected by this initially. And you could easily see some strong wind gusts, maybe not severe wind gusts, maybe 35, 40 miles an hour on the leading edge of this. And the question is, do we have a tornado back here in the back part? The Weather Service in Birmingham has been maintaining this tornado warning. Let's go to our velocity display and we'll see what that looks like. And that tells us the story. And again, it's pretty broad. This is not exactly what you'd call a tornado signature. There's broad rotation here, but no evidence of violent circulation or a tornado down at this point. And again, remember, we're getting a good look at this thing. The radar is very close now to this actual storm. Centerville, Brent, we're going to give you an all clear. If you are in Brent or Centerville, you're good. The danger is over from this storm in terms of producing a tornado. Understand, you'll have thunder, lightning, and rain. I'm not saying the weather's just going to clear up, but in terms of the tornado danger, the risk from this storm is over. So Centerville and Brent, and points down to the south and west, like Pondville, you're okay. The warning continues in effect basically along this Highway 25 corridor from up towards 6 Mile and the Shelby County line. Ashby is right here. That's Highway 139. Briarfield, the Ironworks Park sits right here. 139 goes down toward Maplesville. But that broad rotation will be crossing into Shelby County pretty soon. Again, that's not a tornado signature, but we've been watching. If you've been watching us for a long time, you've seen this thing come and go, come and go. It gets tight, it's dangerous. Broadens out, nothing going on. It tightens right back up. We're in a broad phase right now. So again, this is not really a tornado signature here, but we'll see. Let's check in with Brian Peters, our man on the road. Brian, looks like you're, maybe you can intercept this thing in Shelby County. You came up the long way.
I did. I thought about taking 25 when I was past it on 69, but I goofed there. The storm really has been cycling. That is really true, and I hope maybe it'll finally cycle down if it can get away from some of this instability.
Yeah, you're right. And again, the key elements, and there's a lot more to it than that, but the key elements in tornado formation: buoyancy, the ability of air parcels to rise freely, instability, and veering of the wind with altitude. And both of those should be decreasing with time, and hopefully the tornado watch is canceled well before 4 a.m. But again, the new watch until 4 a.m. for Central and East Alabama in advance of this. And the good news, this is it. This is the only really tornado warning we have in the whole country right now. It's that one small part of Bibb County, northeast of Centerville and Brent, for broad circulation that's around 6 Mile on Highway 25. We've had some reports of trees down north of Highway 25 in Hale County, but no injuries. This back when the storm was really looking good. northeast of Greensboro. Some trees down, no injuries. And again, we're going to be speaking with an EMA representative in Bibb County. In fact, we had all the EMA folks together last Friday for a big conference in Clanton with meteorologists from the Weather Service, the media, and EMs. We call it the Integrated Warning Team, and a lot of our friends we saw down there on Friday. And we'll get an update. But again, this thing is pretty broad, and I say there is a reasonable chance we hit the news at 10. So for everybody in the building, our producers, the anchors, reporters, everybody involved in that newscast, be ready to go at 10, because if we do not have an extension of this warning, that's it in terms of tornado warnings. And we should mention, too, there is a severe thunderstorm warning to the south. Let's go to the reflectivity and broaden this thing out. I want to show parts of Chilton County down into Autauga. You see this segment right here. This could produce strong straight-line winds. Clanton is right here. You got Verbena, which is right down here on US 31. Thorsby and Jemison are right up here. This line of storms is coming through Chilton County. That might produce strong winds, strong straight-line winds that might exceed 40, 45, 50 miles an hour. And that's the reason there is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Chilton, northern Autauga, and northern Dallas. Again, this is US 82 right here. This is Billingsley. Again, we'll watch that Boeing segment down to the south for possibilities of strong straight-line winds. But again, the reason we're here, it's this little feature right up in here in the far northeastern part of Bibb County that has shown signs of producing a tornado. Quite frankly, the reflectivity and the velocity don't look as impressive now as they did 15, 20 minutes ago. It's very broad, but again, there's evidence that we've got circulation right here that's approaching the Shelby County line. So in a matter of 3 or 4 minutes, we'll find out if the Weather Service chooses to extend this. And again, I think a lot of this is going to be related to, do we have any damage in Bibb County? And to my knowledge, we have not had any. Watching all the social media channels, the Twitter, the Gram, everything, I've not seen any damage down there so far. We did have a really good TDS, a tornado debris signature, in far and northwestern Perry County as the storm came up in here. And Taylor's showing evidence of what might be a TDS up in here, what might be.
Moments ago. This is a couple scans moments ago. And
it just goes away like that. Mm-hmm. You know, these things, I'm afraid we're getting into a point now where...
I do want to pass along some information for our friends in Shelby County. Helena Police Department has passed along that the Helena High School will be open for sheltering if necessary. So if anybody in Shelby County decides they need to take shelter, that is an option for you.
Okay. Thank you, Taylor. It is now 9:56. And again, we are in the process of watching a lot of data here. And we'll find out here in just a matter of minutes if the Weather Service will be extending this. It's a pretty tough call. You know, let me just say this. We don't issue warnings here. We don't want to be in that business. The National Weather Service issues watches and warnings. If every TV station issued their own warnings, it would be absolute chaos. We need a simple, unified message in the weather enterprise, and that's what the Weather Service does for us. And we certainly support everything they do, and it's hard. You know, making that decision. Do you press the button and issue a warning? Do you keep your finger off the button and not? You don't want to pull a false alarm, but you don't want to miss a tornado. You don't want to reduce your probability of detection. It's a hard thing to do down there. There is a weather test bed where a lot of times broadcasters can sit in that position and have to make those decisions. It's like a mission control for one of the NASA launches, but it's pretty tough. So we'll see in a minute here. But again, you got Montevallo here, Wilton here, Maline, Alabaster, Calera, Shelby County Airport right here. That's where the Weather Service is located. If you've ever been driving Interstate 65 north or south below Alabaster, you've seen that big golf ball looking thing up on a tower on the east side of the interstate. That's the radar. Inside that large dome, there's a big parabolic antenna that spins constantly, emitting little beams of electromagnetic energy. If there is rain or a target, part of the energy bounces back in a split second. And we make maps where the bounces are coming from, and this is what we're showing you here. So the radar is right by the Shelby County Airport. The weather service is at the Shelby County Airport as well. But again, this is the spot we're watching, of course, and you can see there's evidence of circulation. Seems to be a little tighter now than it was 5 minutes ago. That's about to come up into Shelby. So just hang tight if you're watching us. We're not giving any call to action. There is no polygon in Shelby County right now. There might be in 30 seconds, but for now there is not. And we are about 1 minute away from the warning expiring here at 10. So what we're going to do, we're going to start our 10 o'clock news, and we're going to hold it here for 60 seconds. And if we hit at 10 o'clock, we're going to go, because a lot of things have happened today with the weather. We've had loss of life in the state, and we've got a lot of information to share with you. And our news department is very gracious, and they're very patient to wait on us. We don't relinquish the control to them until we have the dangerous weather out of here. But again, if the Weather Service is convinced that there's no tornado, and again, that's pretty broad, although, again, there's still circulation here coming up Highway 25. We'll see. So we'll hold it here for just one more second. And then at that point, we will hit Chris sign and the newscast here at 10 on this Monday night, December 16th. And every time you think of December 16th, if you're in the weather business, you think back to what happened on this date 19 years ago, where we had a horrible tornado in Tuscaloosa, Saturday, December 16th, 2000. 11 people died, many of them in the Bear Creek Trailer Park south of Tuscaloosa. So again, you can see at this point, we have lost our tornado warning. We now have just a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Chilton. Okay, there's a new tornado warning. New tornado warning just popped up. So we are going to stay here. This is a new tornado warning for parts of Bibb, Chilton, and Shelby counties in effect until 10:45. So a new tornado warning in effect for parts of Bibb, Shelby, Chilton counties until 10:45 tonight. So let me do a couple of quick things here so I can get this on social media. One thing, and let me just say this too, I know a lot of people use dual screens. You're sitting there on your phone watching us on television. A lot of people don't watch, and all of our energy goes into this presentation. We do best we can with social media, but understand we prefer people to watch us when things start to shake and bake here, because we can, it's a lot easier to tell the story this way. So this is where we are. This is the Shelby County part of this. And if we can, let's go in a little tighter. I want to talk about Shelby County. Who's in, who's out. So Alabaster, you are not in. This warning does not include Alabaster. It does include Calera, Montevallo, Wilton, Columbiana, the town of Shelby, and Wilsonville. It does not include Helena. It does not include Pelham. It does not include Chelsea. It does not include places like Highland Lakes or Inverness, the northern part of Shelby County. So the warning is for the southern part of Shelby County, the areas here in red. So if you are in Columbiana, if you are in Calera, if you're in Montevallo, if you are in the town of Shelby, if you live on Lay Lake on the Shelby County side, if you are in Wilsonville, you need to go to a safe place now. Now, let's go down into Chilton County. Let me show you who's in Chilton County. The warning includes Jemison and Thorsby. It does not include Clanton. So Clanton is not in the tornado warning. You're under a severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning. But obviously, nobody should be driving along Interstate 65 between Clanton and Calera for about the next 30 minutes until this thing passes on by. And in Bibb County, it's the far, far, far eastern side of the county, that region out around Ashby and 6 Mile. But the core for Shelby County, remember, it's going to be the southern end of the county. The problem is a lot of these older legacy systems still sound county-wide. You might hear something, but understand the warning for Shelby County. Let's show Shelby again, Taylor. We're going to move this down just a bit. South of a line from near Montevallo over to Wilsonville. So again, Alabaster, nope. You're not in the polygon. Helena, nope. Pelham, no. Hoover in Shelby County, no. Inverness, nope. Indian Springs, nope. Chelsea, no. It's down here for the southern part of the county, Montevallo back over toward Calera. You got Columbiana, you got Wilsonville, you got the town of Shelby, which is about right here, and the western shore of Lay Lake, and then down into Chilton County. This includes Jemison and Thorsby, and it does not include Clanton. It does not include Clanton. And Chris, I can't see that. I'm sorry. It says, Station ID, WBMA Birmingham. 10 o'clock, we will get to our newscast as soon as we can. The reason we're here is for this tornado warning. So let's go back to the radar, and let's see if we can point out this. And again, this is going to be noisy as the dickens. It is going to be not like the classic spring days with the hook echoes and the debris balls and these velocity couplets. We've got a little vortex coming through Bibb and Shelby counties with a trailing band of storms down and through here. So let's stop this and let's take a look at the velocity and see if we can find any spots that are particularly dangerous. So this is our velocity display. And again, we've got the radar itself that's sitting right here. And you can see right in through here, there's evidence of what could be a tornado on Highway 139. This is near Briarfield, the Ironworks Park. That's an amazing facility. If you've never been there, you want to relive some history. But that's going to be coming right up in the direction of Wilton and Montevallo, and then coming right down Highway 25 over here toward Calera. Montevallo here, Calera here, possible circulation right here. So that's why this is for the far southern part of Shelby, the northern part of Chilton. Jemison is right here, and Thorsby is just right down the road down here. So again, you got a possible tornado, the southern part of Shelby County, not the northern part, but the southern part.
We are getting word from the National Weather Service Birmingham that we've got this TDS here, and they are saying there is a tornado on the ground just north of Ashby. Okay. And so when you see that lowered CC right here, that's a sign the radar is telling us this is not a hydrometeor. This is not hail. This is not rain. This is not a snowflake. This is something different, and the Weather Service believes that that is a TDS. And again, this is right below Highway 25, right down Highway 139. And again, that's awfully close to the town of Wilton, which is right here. And this is basically where Bibb and Shelby and Chilton counties all come together. So the immediate call to action is for those folks in Montevallo and Wilton up here to be in a safe place. That includes, I don't know if the students are still there. At the University of Montevallo, I think everybody's graduated and everybody's in break right now for Christmas. But if you are in Montevallo or Wilton, you need to be in a safe place as that TDS continues to show right here. And again, that's pretty impressive. It looks like the core of this thing might be passing a bit south of Wilton, maybe south of Montevallo, but still, you're awfully close to this. The town of Montevallo sits right here. This is Wilton, and then you got the town of Calera, which is over here. This might be scooting across far northern Chilton County, but it's awfully close to the Chilton-Shelby County line. Some people with a Montevallo mailing address live across the line in Chilton County. But again, this is the potential for debris that is being lofted in the process of crossing out of Bibb, moving into extreme northern Chilton and extreme southern Shelby County. So again, the Weather Service believes that this is a dangerous situation, which it is, and everybody in the path of this needs to respect the polygon. And if you're in, you've got to do something. And again, the call to action, and people say, why do you keep saying the same thing over and over? Well, people come and go. People watch for a while, they turn it off for a while, they come back. A lot of people haven't heard this, but the key message is here. If you are in the polygon, you cannot be in a car. You can't. You cannot be in a mobile home. You can't. You have to be in a site-built structure in a small room, hall, closet, bathroom, lowest floor, near the center, no windows, and have a helmet on, a bicycle helmet, a batting helmet. Most people that die from tornadoes in this state die from blunt force trauma wounds to the skull region. That will greatly mitigate that and enhance your chance of surviving this if you take a hit. So that's the call to action. And again, Interstate 65 is a big corridor here in this state, and nobody should be driving along Interstate 65 at this point, which is over here, until this thing passes. So again, we're watching debris that is being lofted. This is Alabama Highway 155 coming south out of Montevallo. 155 runs down into Chilton County, down here toward Union Grove. But if you're near Highway 155 in Chilton or Shelby, or in Montevallo, and more than likely this is going to pass a bit south of Montevallo. A good chance it will, but you're awfully close.
you can't take any chances and you want to stay in a safe place. Let's go to our velocity couplet. This is the correlation coefficient. We'll go to velocity, and again, we're starting to see evidence right in through here. All right, that's darn close to Montevallo. I mean, that's awfully close. So again, Montevallo is here. That's Alabama Highway 155 going down into Chilton. That's Highway 25 going back down toward Wilton. And that's going to keep on moving out in the general direction of Calera. And so what's interesting here, the Weather Service is down here in the path of this thing. And there's a distinct possibility if they have to go into their tornado plan, they could have to give control to the National Weather Service in Atlanta. They believe that the tornado circulation most likely will stay a little south of their facility at the Shelby County Airport, but they've notified the Weather Service in Atlanta in case they are needed for backup. And that's the way it works. They've always got a backup in case the Weather Service has to evacuate the office. An adjacent office will pick up the responsibility for them. But again, over here, this is Interstate 65, and Calera is right here. The Shelby County Airport is right here. That's Highway 119 coming south out of Alabaster. That's your tornadic circulation. So this will not affect Alabaster at all. You're not in the polygon. Calera, you are in the polygon. But if you're up in Alabaster, Helena, Pelham, Hoover, this will not affect you. So again, the concern, it's going to be right in through here. The Weather Service office is here. This most likely comes in through here, south of the Shelby County Airport. And again, awfully close to the city of Calera. So if you are in Montevallo or anywhere back over here toward Calera, you want to be in a safe place. And if that continues on that track, it could affect places like Columbiana and Wilsonville. Those places are in the polygon, and that's where we have to watch that. This is the southern part of Shelby County, not the northern part, but the southern part. This has been a long-lasting supercell thunderstorm. But again, we've noticed over the past 30 minutes, 60 minutes, it's developed this vortex feature. It looks like a comma, bookend vortex. We had one coming through the Tennessee Valley. And let me just say this, with that bookend vortex up in the Tennessee Valley earlier today, that's the one that dropped a tornado in northern Lawrence County, responsible for the deaths of 2 people. So this is a serious situation, and we have to treat it with all seriousness here. But again, this is your possible circulation right in through here. It's along Highway 25. And again, that's in the process of moving from Montevallo back over toward Calera, coming right down Alabama Highway 25. So again, the important message here, it's for those people that are in Calera. And if you have a Calera mailing address, safe place, you know the deal. Small room, lowest floor, near the center, no windows. Helmets on for everybody. And again, we're seeing evidence right here of a TDS, a tornado debris signature, and this is right on the Chilton-Shelby County line. I mean, it is just straddling that line right here, and that's going to keep on moving. It's moving more east than northeast. It seems like this has been turning a little to the right of the mean flow, but still, that's going to put it awfully close to the town of Calera here shortly. And remember, the way the radar works, you get a volume scan. It takes the radar a minute or two for that volume scan to happen. So it could be that that TDS is actually closer to downtown Calera, which is right here. So again, nobody should be along Interstate 65. Nobody between Alabaster and Clanton for about the next 15 minutes, because a tornadic circulation most likely will be crossing the interstate near the town of Calera, right around that Alabama Highway 25 exit. This thing wants to stay right on Highway 25. It's been basically in that zone for a while now. It's hugging Highway 25. So tornado warning in effect now for the southern part of Shelby County. And again, this includes Montevallo, Calera, Wilsonville, Columbiana. It does not include the northern part of Shelby County. Places like Alabaster, Helena, Pelham, Chelsea, Inverness, Greystone. This is not close to you. You are not in the polygon. You don't need to do anything. You're good. The concern, it's down here in this southern end. And again, Calera is right here. And you can see evidence of the circulation right here. Let's pop back on that correlation coefficient product. This is a dual polarization product. And again, you can see evidence of a lowering of the CC right in through here. And that would put it about where that spot is. And again, this is a little noisy. It's not a classic TDS, but again, if there is one, it's going to be right about here, which correlates with that velocity signature that we saw. So, but the one thing, that's interesting, I've yet to see any damage so far, although just now I've got reports of trees down in the area of Highway 155 and 200 in the Montevallo area. So there we go. First reports of damage, trees down. And now the Shelby County Sheriff's Office is confirming a tornado on the ground southeast of Montevallo. That's right here along Highway 25. Montevallo is here, southeast, and that's it. So again, the Shelby County Sheriff confirming a tornado on the ground southeast of Montevallo. And in correlation with that, we have reports of trees down around Highway 155 just south of Montevallo. So again, this is a pretty serious situation for those that are in Calera and maybe ultimately Columbiana. And again, if you are in the polygon, you obviously need to be respecting that and be in a safe place. And we are right at the radar. I mean, just not that recently, we were looking at this thing when the beam was 10,000 feet. Now the beam is looking right at it. That's the radar. And again, this is going to be the broad area where there's a possible tornado that's going to be crossing Highway 31, US 31, and Interstate 65 in a matter of minutes. So nobody should be on either one of those major highways, US 31, Interstate 65. Stop at a gas station. Get you a burrito or something. Just stop, go into a small room, a bathroom in these places. And typically all businesses are good about that on interstate exits. They allow you in a place to shelter yourself because you can't be in a car. And again, this will be crossing over US 31, Interstate 65 soon, and then moving in the general direction of Columbiana. And of course, if this continues, it might affect parts of Talladega County, maybe part of St. Clair County, far southern St. Clair. And again, with the analog to this is the May 27, 1973 tornado. Let me see if Brian Peters is with us. Brian, real check on you, your thoughts on what's going on so far with all this.
Yeah, this is a very interesting case here. The radar indications aren't what you would typically think of a supercell, at least at this moment, with the curvature we've seen and the reflectivity and all. Also, would like to point out that the National Weather Service, when they built the Shelby County Airport facility for the National Weather Service office there, that they built a safe room in the middle of the structure that is poured concrete, steel reinforced, with a door that can withstand small arms fire. So they have a safe place to go, but as you pointed out, they would have to turn the warning issuances over to Atlanta.
Okay. And again, Brian, where are you exactly located right now? Just out of curiosity, what's the environmental conditions like?
I'm on 2059 coming up, not too far from the 459 interchange.
Okay. So again, Brian, we'll just kind of see how this thing goes. What's the temperature you got? You still in the 70s there? 60s? What you got?
I've actually come up a couple of degrees. It's now 63 degrees, despite the fact that I'm getting a lot of rain. It got down all the way to 60, but now it's come up a couple of degrees. But I'm pretty sure the dew points are probably a lot lower. Okay,
awesome. And again, this threat will be winding down from west to east with time. But again, right now, the call to action, Calera, back over to Montevallo. If you are in any of these areas we've called out, you need to be in a safe place. The warning is for the southern part of Shelby County. We can give an all clear now to Montevallo. If you're in Montevallo, this is an all clear. Not from the weather. It's going to be wet with thunder and lightning and heavy rain. But in terms of the tornado threat, the risk from this storm is ended for Montevallo. It continues for Calera and points on to the east. And again, Shelby Springs is right here along Highway 25. Highway 25 goes back over to Columbiana, which is right back over here. That's Alabama Highway 70 that runs to Columbiana from U.S. Highway 31. A lot of people live here, very densely populated part of the Birmingham metro. So Calera, Shelby Springs, Columbiana, Wilsonville. We want you to be in a safe place. The circulation probably crossing U.S. 31 and Interstate 65 about right now. And again, the Weather Service is reporting that We've had reports of trees down in Montevallo, right south of Montevallo, down Highway 155. And again, at 10:12, this was 5 minutes ago, the Shelby County Sheriff's Office confirmed a tornado on the ground southeast of Montevallo, about the time where that tree damage occurred. Beyond that, we don't have any specifics on that, but we clearly noted a debris signature on radar at about that time. And now we're so close to the radar site, it's making it a little bit complicated. And you know, Taylor, we might flip this thing to MXX if we can and just take a quick look at it from that perspective. We'll be a little higher on the beam, but sometimes when you get a storm like this right at the radar site, that could be fairly challenging. So we're going to take off the EET radar, the Shelby County Airport radar, and flip on MXX. We can do that, and if we can't, that's okay. But sometimes you get multiple radars to look at that. A new severe thunderstorm warning is coming for Coosa County because of the Bow Echo south of that bookend vortex. So the line of storms coming out of Chilton, about to come into Coosa County with the possibility of strong straight line winds. And if you can't, Taylor, don't worry about that. That's okay. We'll look at it on the radar scope over here. But again, it's pretty noisy now coming out of here. But still, based on the reports we have had, understand that there's a distinct possibility that there could be a tornado in the southern part of Shelby County, just below the Shelby County airport. And this has been a very long-lasting storm. I mean, this thing has been around for a long time. It originated back in Mississippi, and we have watched it through Mississippi, West Alabama, now central Alabama. And we've had a lot of damage with this storm in parts of Mississippi earlier today and tonight on the western side of the state. And again, reports of some damage in parts of Shelby County, mostly tree and power line damage. So I am glancing at some of the products here, and again, it looks like that rotation is now almost a little east of the city of Calera. So the greatest chance of rotation is now east of Calera, moving in the general direction of Lay Lake and Columbiana. And again, this, I would imagine this is going to stay probably south of Wilsonville, but still, you're in the polygon. If you're in Wilsonville, Columbiana, you're in the polygon. So let's go to the watch warning map. I want to show quickly the watches and the warnings we have here. The one tornado warning, it's for southern Shelby and northern Chilton, and that's it. That's the only tornado warning in the entire state. There's a tornado watch until 4 a.m. for the eastern side of the state. Let me point out, too, the counties that have been cleared. Tuscaloosa, Hale, Greene, Sumter, Pickens, Fayette, Lamar, Marion, Winston. The severe weather risk has ended there. So if you're in those counties, you can go to bed, get you a nap, don't worry about the weather. So once again, these counties are clear from the tornado watch. Sumter, Greene, Hale, Tuscaloosa, Pickens, Fayette, Lamar, Walker, Winston, and all the counties up in the Tennessee Valley. A severe thunderstorm warning for Chilton is now being extended over into Coosa. And again, the one tornado warning is for southern Shelby, northern Chilton. This does not include northern Shelby. Southern Shelby, northern Chilton. Let's put the radar back on here. And again, we've had this little vortex feature come through. Let's animate this. Let's do the loop on this if we can. And again, you're going to see this feature come through Bibb County and now coming through Shelby County. And we've had reports of some trees down with this. And this is moving very rapidly. The one thing about it, it's not going to last that long. We'll be able to give you an all clear in Shelby County relatively soon. And down below that little vortex feature, we have a line of severe storms that can produce strong straight line winds. There's your new severe thunderstorm warning. This includes the city of Rockford. That's US 231. This line of severe storms crossing the Coosa right now, Lake Mitchell. Then it comes over into Coosa County. That'll be crossing Highway 231 soon. Weogufka and Rockford, and then ultimately affecting Lake Martin, Alexander City, with a chance of strong straight line winds, maybe damaging straight line winds. But in terms of the tornado threat, it's this little feature right here that's coming through the southern part of Shelby County. For Birmingham and Jefferson County, odds of severe weather are low. It's raining. We've got thunder and lightning if you're in Jefferson, but it's just pretty much harmless. The same thing up here in parts of Etowah, Blount, St. Clair, Marshall. It's just noisy junk convection up here. Nothing going on that's severe. The issue, it's south of Interstate 20 from Shelby County on south with this little vortex feature right here. So let's take off the reflectivity. Let's put on the velocity display, and we'll take a look and see if we can find the circulation. And I would say that it's getting fairly broad again. I'm watching multiple radars, and it's hard to find that signature. But if you've been watching us, it comes and it goes. 1 minute it's there, the next minute it's broad. So again, this has been very cyclical. So even though at the moment we don't see strong evidence of a tight circulation, it still could be there, or it could come back at any time. So Highway 25 comes out of Calera, or Alabama Highway 70 right here. That's Highway 25 right down here over to Columbiana. So nobody should be along Highway 70 or Highway 25 between the Interstate 65 and Columbiana. From there, Highway 25 goes over to Wilsonville. That's Alabama Highway 145 that goes down to the town of Shelby and ultimately down into Chilton County. But this circulation potential is going to be right in the zone here, and that's the reason the polygon is correlating with that. And again, we stress this does not include Chelsea. It does not include Inverness, Alabaster, Pelham, Helena. Indian Springs. All of these places are not in this warning. This is the southern part of Shelby County. And again, that circulation will keep on coming out toward Highway 145, maybe close to Wilsonville if it hangs in there. Then it crosses the Coosa, and we'll see if the warning needs to be extended over into parts of Talladega County. Remains to be seen, and as we've talked about, with time, the upper dynamics are lifting away, the air becomes a bit more stable, and sooner or later, this thing will gradually fade away. The tragic news, in case you've not heard, we have had reports of 2 fatalities tonight up in North Lawrence County. One report from Bibb County, we've got reports of damage to a dental facility on Highway 139, which would be southwest of Wilton. That's fairly close to the Bibb, Shelby, Chilton County intersection where the 3 counties come together. And again, that would be not too far from Wilton and Montevallo and Ashby. So again, that's some damage to a dental facility on Alabama Highway 139, happened earlier tonight.
We're also getting some reports from Shelby County EMA that there is some damage on Highway 25, and the crews are on their way out there right now to get a better idea of what exactly that damage looks like. But we've got just that new report in from some damage as the storm moved through the Montevallo area on Highway 25.
Yeah, and I'm seeing that from Brian White in our newsroom. And again, he says no injuries, but some damage south of Montevallo on Highway 25. That will be down toward Wilton and Ashby, the same places we've talked about. And all of these communities were under tornado warnings. And again, it's our hope that people heard the warnings and were able to respond to them. And doing this stuff at night, it's hard. You've been watching poor Brian driving around for 3 hours down here, and we had Brian in a great spot down in Demopolis to catch that storm as it came through there, but we just couldn't see the wall cloud of the tornado. I think there's no doubt there was a tornado in North Marengo County, especially west and north of Demopolis, but it's tough out there. Brian, it's been a long night, buddy. You still out there okay? You doing all right? Oh, we can't talk to Brian right now. Brian, are you still there?
Yes, I am. Lost you momentarily.
Okay. So I would assume you're back in the Birmingham Metro now.
Yes, I'm on 459 coming up on exit 6. Mostly in moderate rain.
Yeah, it seems like the city of Birmingham is going to do fine here, Jefferson County. This is not a Jefferson County problem. This is a South Shelby problem. And for a lot of you watching, it's just been a rainy night. And we apologize. I know a lot of folks are trying to watch some ABC programming. But whenever the weather gets dangerous, we have to be here. So, Brian, thank you for your service tonight. And again, the reason we are here, we have a thunderstorm that has produced some damage, possible tornado damage in parts of Bibb and Shelby counties. Some of the damage was near and south of Montevallo. And that rotation is in the process of moving northeast. And do we have that live picture, Chris? That's still there? Can we take that on RIM 10? Remember RIM 1010? I'm the only guy old enough to remember RIM 1010. RIM 10.
I remember him.
Yeah, Brian, you and me, buddy. So this is Alabaster, and understand there is no tornado danger in Alabaster, none. We're just showing you that for information purposes. This is I-65 and US 31 at the big shopping center. The movie theater's there in Alabaster, and it's just rainy. There's no danger there. Alabaster not in the polygon, so that's the deal there. Let's go back to the graphics, and again, we are now at 1027. We have a rather challenging situation tonight where the storm has been cyclic. We have had, from time to time, strong evidence of a tornado, occasionally multiple small-scale circulations within this storm coming on through parts of Shelby County right now. And again, quite frankly, looking at this, I don't see any evidence of a tornado. I just don't. I mean, and it might be back in 5 minutes. That's the way it's been tonight. The circulation broadens out, tightens back up, broadens out. It's been very cyclic, but with time, as the dynamics pull away and we get a more stable air mass, at some point we're going to lose this thing for good. And I don't know about you, but I'm about ready to get rid of this thing. We've been talking about this for a long time tonight, but still, you've got to respect the polygon. That's what you do. If you're in a polygon, you stay in a safe place, and I know it's inconvenient. You've got kids in the bathtub. They're wearing a helmet. They're cranky. Nobody's happy, but there's been way too much loss of life on my watch over the last 41 years. And that inconvenience will easily save your life. And trust me, it's worth it. There are a lot of families, they wish they could go back in time and have their relative that passed away in a tornado situation do the things that we're asking you to do. So please understand, this is serious. We would not do that otherwise. So a tornado warning continues in effect for the southern part of Shelby County. This includes Columbiana, which is here, Wilsonville, which is here. That's Highway 25. I mean, this sucker has been hanging right on Highway 25 for a long time tonight. And if it makes it over to 280, we'll see. It would be near Harpersville, but that remains to be seen if it makes it that far east. And quite frankly, there's really nothing to show you right now. I have no tornado circulation at all. So let's put the reflectivity back on here. The real concern, it's not a tornado in this region now. I'd say it's going to be the chance of strong winds south of there. Let's take a look at the extended line here. Yeah, this stuff right here. That's nasty looking. This is a line of severe storms crossing Lake Mitchell, moving into Coosa County from Chilton County. This stuff is weakened up here greatly, but this storm is capable of producing straight line winds of 40, 50, maybe 60 miles per hour. That's enough to knock down trees and power lines. And that will be crossing the US 231 corridor here in Coosa County in about 15 minutes. So we have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect now for eastern, southeastern Chilton County. This thing coming through Verbena, Lake Mitchell, approaching Sylacauga. But within this segment right in through here, we could see some strong winds, and that will ultimately be affecting Lake Martin, which is right here. So if you're on the lake watching us tonight, you could see some fairly rough weather in about 30, 45 minutes. Yes, ma'am.
And I'm getting some good news in from the National Weather Service. They're canceling the tornado warning for Shelby.
Right.
Because just as we've been talking about, it looks like it's a little bit more disorganized. Yeah, so we're going to keep monitoring.
There's nothing there. So we're going to start a newscast here in about 1 minute. So again, the Weather Service has canceled the tornado warning. You can now get out of that bathtub. You can get out of the bathroom. You can take your helmet off. You can go take a nap. So you can celebrate that. But remember, we still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for parts of Coosa, southeastern Chilton, northern Autauga counties. But all tornado warnings have been canceled as of 10:31. So at this point, that wraps up our long-form weather coverage. We're going to start ABC 3340 News now.
And James, thank you for that. And we start with the Weather Authority alert happening right now as we take a live look from one of our many teams out in the field. Many of the live feeds coming in right now as we are spread out from state line to state line covering this for you. We have meteorologist Brian Peters. He has been on the roads. We have another live look right here coming out of Shelby County. Our teams spread out right there as you look live. That is from Shelby County, where we have seen a lot of lightning off in the distance. And we also have breaking news coming out of North Alabama right now. 2 people are dead after storms moved through Lawrence County. This is going to be halfway between Huntsville and Florence and Muscle Shoals. Lawrence County officials, as you look at the video coming in right now from some of the feeds, also confirming among the 2 dead, we also have 5 people injured. 1 person still missing at this hour. We do not have an update on the severity of the injuries involved as this reported tornado moved through North Alabama. I want to thank you for joining us. I'm Christopher Sine as we have live team coverage across our entire area Of course, we are going to start with James Spann, but first I wanted to give you a look. This is from Tuscaloosa right now. Not a whole lot happening in that area, just the wet roads. But let's check in with James right now on the current conditions if you're just now joining us. James.
Right. So we have a tornado watch in effect now for parts of East Alabama until 4 a.m. The risk has ended for the western and northern part of the state. Notice the counties that have cleared. These counties no longer have a risk of severe storms. Tuscaloosa, Greene, Hale, Sumter, Pickens, Fayette, Lamar, Walker, Winston and Marion counties. To the east, that's a tornado watch until 4 a.m. No tornado warnings right now. We have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for a pretty good chunk of Coosa, parts of Chilton, northern Autauga counties, and that's it. We'll pop the radar back on here. We have a band of strong storms passing through parts of central Alabama right here. Those storms could produce strong straight-line winds coming into Coosa County. For the northern half of the state, just a large mass of rain, nothing severe. Odds of severe weather north of Interstate 20 are very small tonight, not zero, but very small. The better chance of severe storms south of Interstate 20, east of I-65 in this region right here. But with time, the air becomes more stable and the storm should slowly weaken after midnight tonight. Tomorrow, a different kind of day, cold and windy. I've got the 7-day forecast and much more coming up, so stay with us.
All right, James, and we're going to continue our live coverage. We have you covered from West Alabama. Brian Peters has been up and down West Alabama, South Alabama. We're going to check in with Brian Peters momentarily here. That is a live look from his vantage point. And from that area, he's now in the Shelby County area. But from Brian Peters' standpoint, I want to talk about the road conditions in Tuscaloosa, where they are very wet also in Tuscaloosa, also the Hale County roads. We are covering much of West Alabama right now. And I believe we also have Andrew Donnelly, who is traveling with Patrick Thomas right now. They have been chasing this storm up and down the western portion of our state. They've been in Demopolis. I know that they've also been in Greene County as well. Andrew, can you hear me? And what is your location and what are you seeing? Okay, we have lost Andrew as well. So let's continue on and talk about what's happening right now with the largest storm shelter that has opened in West Alabama, opened this afternoon. That is the McDonald Hughes Community Safe Room that opened in Tuscaloosa. The space can hold 1,700 people and capable of withstanding an EF5 tornado. Rosa Wells has lived in that area of Tuscaloosa for somewhat of a half a century. She knows and remembers just how bad the weather can be. We spoke with her earlier.
God took care of us. I mean, that's the only thing I can say. God took care of us. I wasn't scared of anything because old people's had a saying, you can't run and you can't hide. And I believe that, but he do give us senses, things to do.
That storm shelter can also double as a spot for community recreation and other programs. Now, as we mentioned, we have crews spread throughout. We're just having some connectivity issues with those crews, but we always turn when we're covering severe weather to Chief Meteorologist James Spann about the current situation. James.
Yeah, and it seems as though we might have some significant damage in the far northeastern part of Bibb County. John Talbot's one of our sky watchers, and John also monitors scanner traffic. And the Bibb County SO dispatcher says they need more deputies to respond to Briarfield Estates for pretty bad damage. And that's the way they describe that. Also, trees blocking the roadway. Beyond that, we don't know much more. But again, some of that damage occurred in this region right in through here, the far northern part of Bibb County, not too far from Montevallo. We've had trees reported down with that same area. So Briarfield, south of Montevallo, around Highway 25, Highway 139. Apparently, there's been a good bit of damage there. I've heard of no injuries so far from that, but that was the same storm that came through. But there's a clear weakening trend, and that's the good news. And again, you see this little bookend vortex right here on the top part of this thing, that little comma shape, that came through this region. And again, you'll see it come right through here. Came through parts of Bibb County and Shelby County. And again, a lot of the damage is concentrated right in through here, really where Bibb, Chilton, Shelby counties all come together. We've got crews on the way down here, and as soon as we get a live shot from them, we'll pop that up and pass along the additional information. But the concern right now, it's this trailing band of storms coming into Coosa County. So we have a line of storms approaching Rockford and Weogufka. And those storms are capable of producing strong straight-line winds that could easily exceed 50, 60 miles an hour. That could be enough to knock down trees and power lines. So I would not want to be driving along Alabama 22 between Lake Mitchell and Rockford, or US 31 anywhere in Coosa County. I would wait until the storms pass. Not tornadic type winds, but still strong straight line winds that might knock down trees and power lines. And again, that line will ultimately be affecting places like Kellyton, Alexander City, Lake Martin, and Dadeville. And that is the one problem spot we have. Let's go back to the watch warning situation. Again, you can see that's the only warning in the whole deep south right now is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for parts of Coosa, much of Coosa, and a small sliver of southeastern Chilton County, and that's it. There are no active tornado warnings in the state. We have a tornado watch in effect until 4 a.m., and I think that's going to be canceled well before 4 a.m. For this eastern side of the state where we could see a few severe storms. I would say north of Interstate 20, odds of severe weather are low. Let's pop the regional radar back on here, and it's raining in a lot of places north of Interstate 20. Just soaking rains are falling in through here. But again, odds of any severe weather are very low. The air is stable. It's just a big mass of rain. This is where the air is most unstable, south of Interstate 20, east of Interstate 65, north of Interstate 85. That spot there in Alabama, east central Alabama, where there could be some pretty rough weather tonight. And again, the storms that are seemingly above severe limits are the ones coming through Coosa County, affecting places like Rockford. And that's where there's a severe thunderstorm warning currently in effect. Other than that, we have no warnings in the state, and we don't expect any warnings. Let's go to our convective outlook from the Storm Prediction Center real quick. And again, for really all practical purposes, the weather has ended back here in the northern and western part of the state, and the next time they update this will be long gone. Let's go to our 7-day. We've not had a chance to talk about what's going to happen over the next 7 days. Things will be different tomorrow. Instead of a mild day like today with highs in the 70s, we drop into the 40s tomorrow morning. Now, early in the day, you might wake up at 6 o'clock and it's 55 or 60, but we'll fall in the 40s. And we stay in the 40s all day. Storms ending very early in the morning for most of you, pre-dawn hours. Upper 20s are likely Wednesday and Thursday morning. The sky will be sunny on Wednesday and Thursday, 49 on Wednesday, 53 on Thursday. Friday should be dry, the high 54. The latest data suggesting a wave could come out of the Gulf as the weekend begins. So we brought in the chance of rain on Saturday. Don't think it rains all day, but some rain is likely, the high 55. Rain ending early Sunday, the high 60. Monday starting Christmas week, the high 64. And the long-range guidance suggests we could be in the 60s all week next week for Christmas week. So if you're dreaming of a white Christmas, head for the Rockies. Let's go back to the radar. We'll take a look at things. We'll pitch back to Chris here in just a second. Just wanted to show you one more time. We have that one line of storms passing through parts of central Alabama, specifically parts of Coosa County right here. Otherwise, no severe weather warnings. Let's go back to Chris at the news desk.
All right, James. And of course, the full resources of ABC 3340 will be here throughout the night. We know you have a choice when it comes to your news, sports, and severe weather. We thank you for choosing ABC 3340, your next newscast, 4:30 a.m. on Good Morning Alabama.